Ohio, representing Team Popping the Boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Welcome, everyone, to the Spotlight here on Fightful. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That's Stephen Jensen. And shout out, as always, to Big Dick MLJ for the intro. It is Thursday, November 9th. Jensen, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Thursday morning here. We don't have a hard out because I don't have to work today. So we're going to maybe do a little bit longer of a show for you guys. Maybe something a little bit different today, a little bit. Programming note, next week the show moves to 8:30 in the morning. So if you like waking up earlier, then please watch our show earlier. If not, we always appreciate y'all watching on demand, afterwards on the Fightful YouTube channel. But we are moving the show up next week, so just heads up to everybody. That has to do with my shoot job, but it's good stuff. It's really good stuff for like my personal life, my professional life, and we can keep doing the show here just a little bit earlier. So appreciate y'all on that. And also, right off the top, I want to say happy birthday to my dad. It's my dad's birthday today. And also, happy birthday to Chris Jericho. My dad and Chris Jericho share a birthday. So I wanted to say happy birthday to both those guys today when we got started. And yeah, I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Doing well. Happy birthday to Mr. Jensen. Wish him all the best. Yes, next week we'll be beginning at 8:30. So we're still, we're a morning show, regardless of how you wanna look at it. Guys, leave a thumbs up on the video. Those are very appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you've not subscribed. Leave a super chat, question, comment, statement. Gets read on the air. Help support everything we do at Fightful. If you leave us a super chat, or if you're watching on Twitch, you can leave bits and things like that. But yeah, a lot to talk about. We're going to go a little bit longer since Jensen does not have to run at 11. We're going to go till about 11:30, and then at 11:30 we will air our interview with the fantastic MuscleManMalcolm. He joined us this past week in the Creator Spotlight. He was our first guest ever on this show, and now about a year and a half later, he's returned, and he was burying everybody, and it hurt.
Yes. Yeah, he did. He buries a lot of people in this interview y'all are going to hear at the end of the show. And yeah, happy to have Malcolm back on the show because I hadn't thought about it too much. Do you remember when we actually started doing the show, the Spotlight? It was within like the last 2 years or so, year and a half, 2 years.
It was March or April of last year, maybe as early as February.
Because I started my new shoot job in I think in the end of April, beginning of May, and we had already been doing the show for a little, not long at that point, but a little bit. Because for people who don't know, we used to air we'd go live at just random times. It'd be 2 p.m. or 5 p.m. or just kind of whatever we could when we first started. Until I got my shoot job locked down as far as the hours that I had and everything. But yeah, I'm excited for people to hear the interview later. I know people like Malcolm a lot, and it's one of those things. Like I said, like you said, he was the first person we ever interviewed together, which is kind of wild. How many people we've interviewed since. And now there's enough time has passed with some of our guests. We're having them on a second time, some of them a third time and stuff like that. Mo's, would be going on a seventh time or whatever.
Yeah, Mo's is a sixth, or I guess for a third man. He's part of the triangle offense at this point.
Yeah, him and SP3 are the go-tos when we need people to help out with us, basically. If we need an interview and we want to talk some GCW or some indies, Mo's usually available. If I'm not free or you're not free, SP3 can come on here and talk. And also wrestling wise, guys like Cole Radrick, there's behind the scenes, there's wrestlers that have been super available for us that have basically said if y'all ever need someone, I'm always cool to talk with y'all, and so it's good to have people that want to be a part of this and help us out when we need help. And it's also great to have people in the chat and people who are flexible and willing to watch these shows at early hours and even earlier coming up soon. I'm actually kind of excited to wake up even earlier and talk a little wrestling at 8:30, to be honest. I'm going to be tired.
You're the one.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny because I'm definitely not a morning person. You wake up before me, but once I'm up and going, I'm good to go, And I'll also have the added optimism of knowing my shoot job ends earlier in the day too than it used to. Things are looking pretty good right now for for not my birthday, Jeff Valley Driver, my dad's birthday.
Well, he could be Stephen Jensen Sr. We don't know your dad's shoot name.
My dad's name is Todd. So
okay.
Say Todd,
right.
Todd, Todd Jensen. You can also say happy birthday to, in my opinion, the GOAT of professional wrestling.
It's not Bryan Danielson's birthday. It's not.
Bryan Danielson shares a birthday with me, I'm pretty sure. His birthday is May 22nd, I think.
Really? I don't even know Bryan Danielson.
Let's double check that. I'm going to double check Bryan. I'm almost positive I share a birthday with Bryan Danielson. I'm May 22nd. I'm going to look him up right now.
I have no idea who I share a birthday with in the world of wrestling.
I mean, yeah, he's May 22nd, 81. So he's 7 years older than I am. But so yeah, it's just kind of crazy. Like Danielson, my birthday, Jericho, and Ad's birthday. Those are easy ones to remember.
Yeah. I don't know who shares a birthday with me. Absolutely no idea. Don't really care either, being honest.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really either. It's just I just happen to know these things. Like, I couldn't tell you when most people's birthdays are. I think Cody Rhodes shares a birthday with my buddy Doug.
Do you know Cody's birthday? This is the real question here.
No, but
fake fan Stephen Jensen.
Fake fan, dude, I don't know anyone's birthday.
Fake fan, everyone call him out. Fake fan Stephen Jensen.
Fake fan. What month is it in?
It's in June.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the date.
Wow. Fake fan,
dude,
Stephen Jensen.
What, you didn't know Bryan Danielson's birthday.
Yeah, I just consider him the best wrestler of all time. That's all I care about.
Everyone's calling me a fake fan. I don't know when anybody's birthday. I don't know when anyone's birthday is. I know when my birthday is. I know when my dad's birthday is. I know when Jericho's birthday is because my dad's birthday. I know when Daniel's. I know the people who have the same birthday as me.
I can tell you this. I don't care about wrestling. I think everybody knows that by now. I do not care about professional wrestling. You know what I care about? I care about Taylor Swift. I know when Taylor Swift's birthday is. You don't know when Cody Rhodes' birthday is. Yeah, December 13th. Cody Rhodes' birthday, June 30th.
June 30th.
Well, yep, fake fan. I am not a fake fan. I know when Taylor Swift's birthday is.
That's 2 weeks in a row that you've got me. I didn't know Cody's birthday, and last week I couldn't remember that he was the main event after Bad Bunny and Damian Priest.
Oh, yeah. Double. Jensen, your fake fandom. This has all been a ruse.
I'm totally being exposed right now. We're going to talk about Logan Paul a little later in the show, y'all.
And you know when Logan Paul's birthday is?
Dude, I have no idea when Logan Paul's birthday is. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about Cody and Logan on the show today.
I mean, we're going to talk about right now. That's our lead. We're going to lead with WWE.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. WWE Spotlight, everybody.
I need to finish the story. In the WWE, the story never finishes.
Cody is going to kind of finish one story, finish a chapter, maybe. The story doesn't finish until he wins the title, but he's going to get a big chapter in his book complete at Survivor Series. Cody finally gets WarGames. He has been wanting this for years upon years. He wanted to compete in Blood and Guts in AEW. He was scheduled to compete in Blood and Guts before the pandemic. He was scheduled to be part of the elite team against Inner Circle at the time. That was going to be the match. That was going to be Blood and Guts. Pandemic happened. They changed plans. Had he been around last year, not been injured, maybe he was part of that Survivor Series team. Who knows? Obviously, he wasn't. And now this year, they didn't announce WarGames when they announced Survivor Series in July, but you could all see it being set up. I'm convinced Cody was backstage every single week telling Triple H WarGames, and finally on Monday, he gets WarGames. He not only he's on the poster with his camouflage. He's got the cage in the background. He's ready. He's ready, Jensen. He's getting WarGames finally, one of the creations of his father, Dusty. I do Cody bits and stuff. I'm genuinely happy he's getting this match, largely because I know he's going to do something crazy, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, he's probably been thinking his entire life, like, if I ever got to do this type of match, the things that I would do, and now he gets to do them. So I'm obviously very happy for the guy. I mean, like you said, Dusty created the match. Cody has basically helped make it a reality in AEW and Blood and Guts. NXT was doing WarGames for like the last few years. I mean, it was kind of crazy that they were doing it and the WWE brand wasn't. But obviously, with Triple H getting more and more in charge of things, it makes sense that we're seeing it, now. But it's such a great concept, and just very poetic. And it's also like as Cody marches towards WrestleMania and becoming the champion and finishing the story, this is like a good chapter in the story. It's like there's little things like I'll always. Excuse me. I'll always stand firm on believing that Cody should have won the title at last year's WrestleMania. Like that was the move, but they fumbled that one for sure. But in hindsight, in the future, like looking back on it, if Cody wins the title at WrestleMania this year, and we look at the trajectory of like him losing at WrestleMania 39, and then seeing like beats Brock in a trilogy. Does WarGames, gets the whole whoa thing like over like way more now, that thing's way like they weren't really doing that before WrestleMania. Now it's like become like a real big thing. People singing his theme song in all these different countries. People that don't even like primarily speak English in some of these countries are like you see them all singing this song together, which is pretty damn cool. So like, if Cody winds up finishing the story at WrestleMania 40 and we have all of these things to look at, I feel like it can't be seen as like a total failure or bad idea, if that makes sense. Because like this is a pretty damn cool story, like all these chapters leading into it. My biggest fear is that we kind of talked about it last week. My biggest fear is that they actually are in the third right now. And like Roman is holding this thing. Because I watched some of SmackDown. I believe it was No, it was Crown Jewel. I watched all of Crown Jewel. And during Roman's entrance, like they reference the Bruno streak and like Hogan's reigns and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, I'm telling y'all, I know it sounds crazy. We talked about it last week. It sounds crazy that he would have to hold the title another 5 years or whatever till like 2028 to beat Bruno. But it's in their minds. Like, I'm not saying they're going to do it, but like it's in their minds. Like the possibility is there. If he gets past WrestleMania this year with this title, I think he's going to hold it past Bruno. I honestly do. He just won't defend the title that much, and like they'll just use the title that Seth holds right now. It's like the main championship that people pass around. But Roman will just be the novelty, just the main champion that comes in. Now, once again, preferably Cody just beats him for this title at WrestleMania 40. But there's no guarantee that's going to happen, especially if The Rock somehow gets involved again and like he gets his shot and Cody gets boxed out.
Strikes over.
I know. When that's that's the optimism for like The Rock going back to Hollywood and getting out of Cody's way. Absolutely. But that's just kind of where I'm at with like the Cody trajectory right now. But as far as like WarGames, I'm incredibly happy for him, like, and his family. Like I'm happy for people like Teal and stuff, even like just people that are in his family that get to see Cody be a part of this thing that he's wanted to do his whole life. And it's also a giant win for the wrestling fans who have been thirsting for a WarGames return for forever. Not everyone watches NXT. It's like there's a lot of fans that are going to see WarGames for the first time in a long time.
Last year they did WarGames.
Wait, they did WarGames in WWE last year?
Yeah.
Who did it? Who was in the match?
Bloodline. It was Bloodline and Sammy.
Oh, that's right. But Cody was injured during that time.
Yes, Cody wasn't part of it. So
that's right. No, but they've done it. I forgot that they did it in WWE last year, but they've done it in NXT like maybe like 3 times or so before.
Yeah, they've done it in NXT for a while.
Yeah. Sorry, that's my bad. I forgot that they did WarGames last year, but this is the first one with Cody returning to it. Who did the Bloodline wrestle last year? I didn't remember what the full team was.
Oh, okay. Let me try to remember this off the top of my head. Kevin was definitely there.
Yeah.
That's the one I can definitely remember was Kevin Owens. The rest of them I'm struggling.
I'm trying to remember like what tag team.
Oh, Sheamus, Ridge, Butch, and Drew, I believe, and then Kevin. I'm pretty sure that was it. Is
that what it was?
Did not look that up. Everybody, acknowledge me. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that was it.
But this kind of feels like this just means more because Cody's involved. This in the. I also got to give a lot of credit to Judgment Day. Like, they're over, for better or worse. Like, the Dominic thing's working. Rhea, it's interesting is Rhea's a baby face. Like, she is. I mean, like, I know she isn't like necessarily presented as one, and like she wrestles baby faces, but like she's over as a baby face. You know what I mean? She gets like a baby face reaction. When she came out of Crown Jewel, she looks like the biggest star in that match by far, like based on the entrance. You know what I mean? Like, they really make her look. So she's like super likable, and I get why. Like it's an interesting dynamic. She's over as a baby face. Dominic's massively booed as a heel, massive heat as a heel. Priest holds this briefcase that he can cash in whenever he wants, and him and Balor are the tag champs currently. It's just a lot going on. JD McDonough is like trying to get in the group.
I mean, he's part of WarGames. He's more or less he's at least in WarGames on that team.
Right. Well, he's basically but he's also the guy who's been like taking like most of like their bumps like in like the like during the feud. So there's a lot going on, but like however it's worked in my opinion. Like Judgment Day has gone from this like joke kind of nothing of a stable like whenever Edge founded it and like the music changed and they started wearing purple and nobody really understood what the hell was going on. He gets booted from the group right away. But like what it's become now is what's that?
That was the right call.
Well, I know you don't like Edge, so yeah.
It wasn't working with him.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't working. Period for like a while, and then like it started figuring itself out, and they're a great team to have in there as the heel team for WarGames, and then you got Cody in his squad. You know,
do you know who's on Cody's team?
I know we got Seth Rollins. We've got Jey Uso and Sami Zayn.
Oh, okay. Look at you.
Yeah.
What's Cody going to do in this match? What's your thoughts on what he's going to do? We got a super chat from Chi-Town Spurs who says, so is this how Cody gets away with bleeding? I think
that was my first thing I was going to say he'll do is he'll bleed. That's one move.
He's definitely going to try to bleed in this match.
Yeah.
He'll say it was, hard way. But yeah. I hope he tries to take chair shots back for the boys. That was fantastic when he did that. Need him to take chair shots back for the boys.
I'll talk about it a little later, but I saw some gnarly chair shots at GCW. Like Kugarini and Macisos hit each other in the head like so damn hard with these chairs in front of me. I was like, those are some you forget after you haven't seen it in a while, like someone taking just like unprotected, just stiff chair shots to the head. I'm not advocating it, Jeremy. I'm just saying, like, we used to see that all the time. Back in the day, we used to watch, we turn on wrestling in the Attitude Era, and people are getting whacked in the head with these things over and over. And now it's like cringe when I go back and watch it. But yeah, I think Cody will bleed. I think Cody will use some weapons. I think Cody will do, he'll do a moonsault. I know there's a roof on the WWE WarGames cage, or no?
I don't think so, no, because they like to do the dive spots.
That's right. They haven't been, because I remember like Ciampa did the air raid crash. The air raid crash like off the top of that and stuff.
Yeah, so Cody will do dives.
That's right. Cody will do a moonsault off of that.
100%. Flaming tables. You think he's gonna do anything with flaming tables? I think he's a coward if he doesn't.
I think he'll try to get flamed. I think he'll try to get anything involved that he possibly can. Like, I think he's going to do. That's another reason to get excited for this match. It's like I said, a lifetime's worth of ideas, and he also has to look at this as like this might be the only time he ever gets to do this match.
He's going in first on this, by the way. Like he's going to be the first person in for this.
The outside, is that just like that's your guess?
No, that's my guess. Like they always have the two people who start the match. I think Cody's going to start for his team. I think he wants to be in there the entire time.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. And it also makes him look more badass when he wins the thing. Like when he gets the pin and wins it for his team.
I don't know if he's going to win it.
Who do you think's going to win?
So Joel and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Right now it's 4 against 4. I think it's going to stay at 4-on-4. Joel has the idea that Randy gets involved. We don't know when Randy's going to come back, but there's a lot of speculation that he'll be back for WarGames or Survivor Series. I shouldn't say WarGames, just Survivor Series. So that Randy is part of the babyface team and Drew McIntyre is part of the heel team. Not necessarily Drew is a heel. It's just Drew is he's been recruited by Judgment Day.
Right.
And Drew sees Judgment Day and being part of this match of like, okay, I can now get in here and take out Seth Rollins type of thing. And then Randy ends up turning on the babyface team. That was a suggestion Joel threw out, and I'm not super mad at it. He tried to convolute it because Joel's not that bright. But his overall point of Randy turning on the babyface team, because Randy's much better as a heel, but he's gonna get cheered coming back, so he's got to do something that actually makes him a heel, and like turning on Cody and stuff that sets up a Randy Cody program potentially
for like Royal Rumble.
Yeah, so I could see that being one of the scenarios. I personally think it's just going to stay 4-on-4. And I think if it stays 4-on-4, I'm of two minds in that case. One, babyfaces win. The happy ending type of thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Two, they lose. Priest cashes in on Seth afterwards. And this could happen with the Randy turn. If Randy lays out, let's say Randy hits the RKO on Seth, middle of the match, Priest is just like, hey, let me cash in this thing. And then he pins Seth. Not only do they win WarGames, Priest gets the title off of
That's a great idea, actually.
But, he cashes in the middle of the match after Seth is already down and out. I could see something like this happening. Just throwing it out there. So
yeah, I like that idea a lot.
Even if Randy does not come in and like turn on everybody, I could still see a scenario where Priest cashes in, whether it be the middle of the match or after the match is over. Because that's going to be I don't even want to say underlying plot. Like they're going to point that out, that Priest is the Money in the Bank holder and Seth is in this match. That's going to take a wear and tear on Seth. The baby faces almost have to win in that scenario. Otherwise, Priest looks a little dumb for not just cashing in, because unless Priest is also taken out, but you gotta play that one way or another, because Priest is the Money in the Bank holder, Seth is the champion. He's in this match. They're both in this match.
No, you're right. Especially if there was, this would be the worst booking idea ever. And I would imagine, you never know what that would be, but yeah, especially if like Priest pinned Rollins like in the match, like non Money in the Bank involved. If it was just like, you know what I mean? Like if they did something that stupid where like Priest just like, and they're like, oh, the Money in the Bank holder pinned Rollins. If he did that again, he could become the champion. It's like, that would be a terrible idea. I actually love the idea of him cashing in mid-match, because we haven't seen that before. Like, there's never been an opportunity to do something like that before. We've seen so many.
When Rollins cashed in, that was middle of Roman.
But he wasn't already involved in that match.
Right.
Like this is a different scenario where it's a multi-person match, a 4-on-4 match, potentially a 5-on-5 match. And he's already both of those people already involved in that match. It'd be the same kind of thing if like this happened in like a tag team match or whatever, a multi-person match. But like WarGames makes the most sense, because you could find a scenario where like, who knows, people from the bloodline get involved and like, that distracts Jimmy or distracts Jay or whatever. Or like, so you could figure out a way to where like they isolate Rollins and it's like 4-on-1 in this cage and Rollins just getting the hell beat out of him. You know what I mean? There's nothing he can do, completely defenseless in this cage, getting beaten down by the entire Judgment Day. And as this is happening, Priest is like, here's the briefcase. And then just like he gets the win. It would actually, I don't dislike the idea of Damian Priest becoming the champion, by the way. Like I do like him and I think he's doing good work. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for like the Bad Bunny match and stuff. Like, and like he's paid dues in certain ways where like I definitely respect if they were to go all the way with him as the champion on Raw. The only problem is that this is the problem with a lot of the Money in the Bank holders. I just see him lose way too often, where like that level of credibility is a little bit lost, unfortunately. But like he can make up for that with a good title run. I don't know if he's the best guy to hold the title though. Like,
I think he's a short-term champion. I don't feel he's a long-term play. Here's my actually 2 quick points. One, he should have beaten Cody on Saturday at Crown Jewel, because yes, the Money in the Bank holder should not lose so often. So he definitely should have beaten Cody.
I should have beaten somebody else. But yeah.
All right, here's a scenario that's never in this lifetime going to happen. But you know what? Who cares? Priest wins title at Survivor Series, cashes in, all that fun stuff, right? Next line on Raw come out. Judgment Day, we run Raw, blah, 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 blah. The same promo you've heard 1,000 times. Bad Bunny comes out. Okay, Bad Bunny, he confronts Judgment Day. He's like, I got a victory over you. Let's run this back. Royal Rumble. Bad Bunny beats Damian Priest at the Royal Rumble, wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Bad Bunny's the World Heavyweight Champion, goes to WrestleMania. Who does he defend it against? The Rock. Bad Bunny and The Rock at WrestleMania. Tell me a bigger match than that.
Well, I don't like that idea. But listen, I like Bad Bunny, though. He's absolutely earned my respect.
Well, I'm taking The Rock out of... I'm not doing anything with The Rock at Bloodline.
No,
I was doing this for you. My real suggestion was Bad Bunny and Logan Paul at WrestleMania. Does that make you feel better?
Well, I was about to think... That's where I thought you were headed with this. But I'll say this. I love the idea of the two of them wrestling each other at WrestleMania, but just without a title being involved. Like, I don't really need I don't need Bad Bunny being the WWE heavyweight champion. Now, that said,
I need Bad Bunny holding all the titles. He should dethrone Roman Reigns. That dude rules. Give him all the belts. I don't give a shit about Cody Rhodes. Put every title on Bad Bunny.
But I mean, listen, I'm obviously a big advocate of Logan Paul being the US champion. He's just a bit more involved. If Bad Bunny was there a little more often, we get to see him wrestle a little more often. I actually wouldn't be completely against the idea of that. It make a lot more sense to David Arquette, or something like that. I mean, for sure.
David Arquette showed up.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about Bad Bunny, actually proved he can go in the ring. Like, David Arquette was winning fluke matches when he was the champion.
Well, it's because they booked him incorrectly. That's not, his fault. Yeah. David Arquette, legit wrestler.
I guess it's fair. I guess for all we know, David Arquette, we may have been robbed from David Arquette.
They screwed up the David Arquette stuff, by the way. This was peak David Arquette, friends. He's dating, maybe even married to Courtney Cox at this point. They should have capitalized on that way more. People knock that decision, and I get it because it was during WCW's downfall and everything. If they did this when it was hot Monday Night Wars, this would have been one of the greatest decisions of all time. David Arquette was the right call. It's not David Arquette's fault. They mishandled that.
I definitely agree they mishandled the whole thing. I just love WCW, and I felt like it was a bad move. It was better than when they put the head on Vince Russo, though. I'll definitely say that.
Yeah, that one, a little absurd.
But listen, I actually love the idea of massive celebrities like that wrestling in the WWE, like The Rock and Bad Bunny and Logan Paul and Bad Bunny and stuff like that. I think that actually is a really good idea. But listen, they could revisit Bad Bunny and Damian Priest potentially. I honestly don't think anything's off the table when it comes to any of that stuff. But yeah, girl, but like you said, I like the idea of him cashing in during, if he's going to cash in Money in the Bank, WarGames would be the best probably opportunity for him to do that, for it to be something different. So, but I ultimately, I think Cody's going to win WarGames. I mean, there's no way I can go against that. I mean, this is built for him.
I could see Cody just losing just because he takes that, but maybe not him losing, but losing the match. Just, you got to overcome adversity, right? He needs to lose to overcome the adversity.
Well, the adversity I feel was losing last year. It's that was the L, and now it's okay, you're building yourself back up for an entire year so that when you get your next shot against Roman, you get it done this time.
Bad Bunny and Roman is the match, not Cody.
Man,
The Rock and Roman is the match.
Well, that will be the match if The Rock isn't available.
Yeah, if The Rock makes the call, that's the match. There's no other way
I'm not
to put that.
Ignorant. Yeah, I just have to I gotta have the faith here that it's gonna be Cody, but I don't know. By the way, I thought Crown Jewel was a pretty good show. I watched the whole thing, so
I love this from Cyclops is better than Wolverine. Can never tell when Jeremy's trolling or genuine with his hot takes. I am genuinely trolling.
Yeah, I gotta say it's the definite mixture of both.
Yeah, I could because I think people know this at this point. I just like the chaos. I put out there on Twitter after Roman won, Roman should just break the record, break Bruno's record, break Hogan's record, and then he loses the title to John Cena. And then he breaks that record, so Roman's in the history books, and then Cena gets championship 17, so he's in the history books. And people were like, this is the worst idea of all times. Like, I don't care if the internet gets mad at this idea. To me, it's hilarious because you get 2 records broken at once. I just like the chaos. That's all I care about. Just give me whatever's going to be funny.
Right. And I get the logic behind that too, for sure. Exactly, because you're getting the double record breaks. And like I said last week, WWE is in a massive mode right now, rewriting history. So like that actually makes sense from that standpoint. And where it becomes infuriating for everybody hearing that is, and myself included, is like, if you waste the rub, like whoever pins Roman for this title, if you waste that on John Cena, the one guy in the world who could not benefit from that less, like to have John Cena be the one, like, the one guy who doesn't need that at all. Like, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I got a very important email that has nothing to do with wrestling. Hootie and the Blowfish coming to play here with Edwin McCain as well. We have to go to this. This is August of next year.
Hootie and the Blowfish rules.
Yeah, they do.
I want to be with you.
Oh, dude. All right. So that's a concert I'm going to August 15th of next year. So,
Darius Rucker. I used to see him in Nashville every now and then because he lived there at the same time as me. I don't know if he still lives there or not, or if he's in like Texas now or something. But Darius Rucker he's a big wrestling fan too. Darius Rucker owns I think he might own like Ric Flair robes and stuff too. Like he's like
he's a huge wrestling fan. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out Darius Rucker. Like, yeah, that Hootie the Blowfish was an awesome. I didn't know they even played together still, but they were awesome in like the 90s, and then he did his own thing in like country and stuff.
Killed it in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you give the rub to somebody like Cena, like people are going to be so mad because it's just no. Like The Rock. I know people will be mad if it's The Rock. Don't care. I think Cena is the most hilarious outcome they could possibly do. Just do it just because the only reason to do it is to give him number 17. That's it.
Right.
I think it's the most hilarious outcome.
My big fear, though, honestly, it starts to become like, and this isn't specifically because of Roman's like his specific history with like health. Like there's no like, because I know obviously he beat cancer, which is like, I my kind of what I'm saying is like, there's so many unknowns. Like to like pencil somebody in to have a title for the next 5 years after already holding it for like 3.5 or whatever. You just never know what's going to happen to anybody over that amount of time. And like one of my fears also is like, Roman gets hurt, or Roman gets sick, or Roman retires, or Roman wants to go do movies, or Roman, you know what I mean? It's like, what happens if like if he doesn't drop it somehow? Like kind of like what happened with Samoa Joe on AEW. I'm not saying the same kind of scenario. I'm not saying Roman just walks in the ring and just puts the title on the mat and says, I don't want this anymore. I'm just saying, like, what if, he gets past this WrestleMania and the plan is to have him keep holding this thing, and like another year or two in, he's like, I can't wrestle anymore for this reason or that reason. Maybe he gets hurt and like someone with his neck or spine, or who knows? Like, you just never know. And like all of a sudden it's over and it's like nobody gets the rub. That would be awful. You know what I mean? Like putting this much into getting the rub on someone and then it never happening. Or yeah, like Why Soulable says, I'll put that in the, I'll pull that up. Like, what if he loses his smile? What if he just becomes like a CM Punk and he just starts getting pissed off about everything and just bails? Like, I mean, I don't see these things happening for Roman. I have nothing but I listen. If I wasn't such a Cody Rhodes fan, I would be the biggest Roman Reigns fan in the world right now, because I would be sitting here saying he should never lose the title. Screw everyone else in this company. No one else is a star like this guy is. Keep doing it with him. Keep pushing him. Give him Bruno's run. But because I'm a Cody fan, I just can't do that. I got to see Cody finish his story. If Cody wasn't in the WWE right now, I'd be wearing Roman Reigns merch on this show like every week. So just keep that in mind, everybody. I actually really, really like Roman Reigns. I like Cody more. So that's where we're at with all this.
You should like Roman more.
And listen, even if Cody isn't the one to dethrone him, which obviously he should be, somebody deserves to get that rub from him.
Yeah.
Like it's someone, not him. Listen, But listen, him getting that rub is better than nobody getting the rub. I'll be honest about that. Like it's better than Roman losing his smile. I would rather see LA Knight become the champion than nobody get the rub from Roman. Although it was kind of like a big exhale when that bell rang at Crown Jewel and he lost, and I was like, okay, we can move past this now. Finally, move LA Knight to Logan Paul in the US title or something, like for like the next big feud for him or for WrestleMania or whatever, and like that's a listen. Now let's be honest about something now. Now I can be an LA Knight fan like everybody else. I'm okay with this now. I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about the threat is gone.
Was there a threat?
There was a threat. Not necessarily a crown jewel, but the idea that the fan base had gotten this in their head about him winning and the pops he's getting by just doing other people.
I don't think there was ever a threat. Like, he got over, which is full credit to him. I said, like, look, if they do this, if they put the title on, I don't have an issue with it. He's clearly over. He's gotten over. But they didn't do it with Drew, who was over. They didn't do it with Sammy, who was over. And they didn't do it with Cody, who was over. I never thought they were going to do it with LA Knight in Saudi Arabia. I thought the move, I didn't think Drew was quite the move. I thought the move was Sammy. I thought that was the moment you should go for it right there. And then the move was Cody. I didn't think after you got past Cody, it seemed very clear that, yeah, they're not doing. They didn't even do it with Jay. Jay would have made sense as well.
You would have made the most sense in the story, honestly, if anybody would have been Jay.
So they didn't do it in any of those instances. So I never bought that LA Knight. All credit to him for getting over. He was the least of, oh yeah, this is the point. They should do it. I thought they should do it just to, hey, actually make somebody put the belt on somebody who is gotten over to this point, give the fans that moment and, go from there. But LA Knight was the least threat of everybody I just mentioned, honestly.
I'm with you there. I see what you're saying, but my fear was like multiplied a lot because of how dug in I've become on like the LA Knight hater train as far as like
fault.
Well, it's my fault for but it's also kind of his fault for like
getting over
for like being Carlos Mencia out there a little bit and like just using other people's stuff and getting. I mean, like, let's be real with what's happening here. But listen, it's worked and. We're right where we're at. Listen, like I said, I think LA Knight versus Logan Paul for the US title, I'm all in on that. I like everything about that. I don't hate on LA Knight about that. Even if LA Knight beat Logan Paul, y'all know I like Logan Paul on the WWE show. I'm a big fan of his, with what he's doing in pro wrestling. I'd be okay with LA Knight beating Roman Reigns. Or sorry, geez, no. I'd be okay with LA Knight beating Logan Paul.
Said it, clip it.
Jesus, no. That does not represent me. That absolutely does not represent me. But it is what it is. Y'all know how I feel about all this at this point. I don't hate LA. I have a different, and I always try to make this clear too, because the two people that people always come after me at is LA Knight and CM Punk. There's a big difference between how I feel about those two guys. Like the feelings I have about Phil Brooks is like that's a lot of that is much different. With LA Knight, I just don't like that I just don't understand how he's gotten so over after 20 years of doing the same stuff, using other people's stuff. But we're at where we're at, and it's one thing I got to say about the guy too. It is there is something very admirable about that, like sticking with it for this long and it not working, and like this company not working, and that company it didn't work, and this and that, and just trying over and over and over, and then eventually it works. And you also had to get past the male model group thing and all. Like he in the Mountain Dew match and all, like the dude persevered through a lot to get where he's at. Regardless of how I feel about his on-screen wrestling character, I do respect the man behind the character for being this persistent and it finally paying off. I got to give him credit for that.
You mentioned Logan Paul. He won the US title at Crown Jewel, knocked out Rey Mysterio with the brass knucks, and now he's sleeping with the belt, showering with the belt, working out with the belts.
There you go, Low gang.
I think we all saw it coming that Logan was going to win the title, and he's going to have it on Impulsive, and he's going to take it on all these appearances and all of this stuff. It's good publicity for it. I think he will show up. I don't think he will be like an inactive champion, whether it's just like cutting video that he sits in, whatever it might be. I think he'll show up as much as he needs to show up. He'll work Rumble, I would assume. We'll see if he works the Australia show. That's Elimination Chamber. And then I assume he'll work Mania. Logan Paul and LA Knight is the feud that everyone seems to be leaning towards. I understand why. I don't disagree with it. But what's your expectations for Logan Paul, Jensen?
No, it's that. Yeah, I think that it's Logan Paul and LA Knight that should be
okay, what if it's not? Let's try something. What if it's not LA Knight? What are you looking at?
Who are some other people?
Because LA Knight would seem to be a Mania program, right? We got a couple pay-per-views before Mania. Like, what's Logan doing at the Rumble? He going to be in the Rumble match and he get eliminated by LA Knight? That sets everything up.
Maybe that's kind of the easy way to do it.
That's what they did with.
No, they do that a lot. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not saying like you're like it's on you. Like that's like it would be the WWE would do that. Yeah. You can even interfere. I remember like they set up Brock versus Goldberg by like interference at the Rumble.
Yeah,
like that one year and stuff. I want to give a shout out real quick that like it is really, really cool that he beat Rey Mysterio for the title. Like Rey Mysterio, absolute legend, arguably, honestly, not only like one of if not the best like luchador ever, like one of the best professional wrestlers ever. Like I mean, for real, Rey Mysterio. Even Bret Hart will say Rey Mysterio is one of the best of all time. Like that's an endorsement coming from Bret Hart, you know. And also Logan deserves credit for saving Rey's neck.
Okay. I mentioned this.
Okay, are you gonna say that he should have been closer to begin with?
I mean, I just don't know. I don't know if he should have been closer. I give him all credit for the catch and making sure Ray didn't land like that. But I also don't know if that was on him. He was actually saved himself because he was out of position. And yeah, I just don't know.
I don't know either. But what we saw was Ray was about to fall on his head, and Logan caught him, and that was nice. Good for Logan. You earned a lot of brownie points with the wrestling community, I think, with that one. Now, as far as who else you could wrestle, I think that it wouldn't really make sense for him to become like a full-fledged member of the group, but I think him and Dominic as a tag team, like on pay-per-view against somebody would be really good because those guys get massive heat together.
I don't know how feasible it is. I know Logan's pitched it. I feel like Ray has. I don't know if Ray's pitched it. It might have not. It might not have been Logan. Ray has definitely commented on it. But Ray and Bad Bunny against Logan and Dominic is something that
definitely that would be a move,
and that Ray has commented on.
I like that.
And Logan was asked,
make that happen.
Logan was asked about working Bad Bunny after he won the title as well.
That'd be massive. That'd be a massive match, and it all makes sense storyline wise too for all four of those guys. Like you could that's kind of like the perfect scenario. Now, if you can't do that, I'm trying to think of who else is on like the SmackDown roster right now. Wait, is it SmackDown that he's technically?
Yeah, it's SmackDown.
Hashtag brand split isn't real, so I guess it really doesn't matter anyways. But I think I'm trying to think of who else is on SmackDown right now that like really. Because it isn't just like about who would be like the most worthy. It's about who also is like a big match because it's Logan, you know, because like even like Ricochet isn't like the biggest star in the WWE, but like they had that history with some like the spots they had done that had gone viral. And like, you know, the two of them did a good job selling the match kind of like, you know, in social media and like in mainstream media and stuff through Logan.
It's also who's Logan going to work with because, look, I don't know if he wants to work with Sheamus because Sheamus is going to hit you. And you know, it's a different style in there with Sheamus. Like, is that the kind of match Logan wants to work with? For the most part, he's worked with kind of safe or athletic guys. You know, Sheamus is a guy. Sheamus is obviously safe, but Sheamus is a guy that's going to, like a Gunther or a McIntyre, that's going to like really lay it into you. You know, so far like Logan hasn't really worked with those kind of guys.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm looking at the roster right now, or I'm about to look at the roster because there's people outside that we actually talk about with Malcolm a little bit. Like eventually, if they can get like Jake Paul involved or like KSI, there's a lot of like big stuff you could do with like those kind of talents. I'm trying to find the SmackDown roster. I clicked the wrong button.
Like AJ Styles, I don't know if that's a match they could do. I do think
that would be great, actually.
Yeah,
that would be great. He'd also be fascinating and have an impulsive for like a lot of reasons. It'd be interesting to have them sit down with AJ Styles. That thing might all go up flames too. I think that that would be a hell of a match though. Like I hadn't thought about that at all, dude. That's a great idea. That's a great idea, Jeremy. That's one of the best ideas you've ever had on this show. They would have a fantastic match. I mean, even like when they had when AJ wrestled, in old Shane McMahon at WrestleMania, like they showed out, in Orlando and stuff like that. Like, and Logan is proven that he can go in the ring. The two of that, man, that should be it. That should honestly be. They need to do that match at some point. The only thing is, like, it'll be kind of tough for me to swallow AJ losing to him. That's gonna be kind of tough. I felt the same kind of way about Ray a little bit, but like Ray, it made sense, like with the story and everything. And he's using brass knuckles to beat people too. To be fair, it's like not,
it's not clean.
It's not clean, but there is something in me. It's biased, is what it is. That's what this is inside of me, is the bias. There is something about me that's like, even though I love Logan and what he's doing, like there's something that rubs me wrong about the idea of him pinning AJ Styles.
Well, AJ's going to go for the phenomenal forearm, and then he's going to get knocked out with the brass knucks. So there you go. I've booked it. I've sold myself on this AJ Styles thing. He's supposed to be back reportedly tomorrow. So he's been out for a while.
Fig Hunt game for Survivor Series. So brand supremacy. If you did Logan Paul versus Gunther, listen, if they did that though, there would be no better way of just shutting up any Logan Paul hater that he's involved in this. Like that's the ultimate paying your dues. Like you out there and get chopped by Walter for 10 minutes straight. Like no one can say anything to you after that. I feel like.
I don't know how you booked that match because you probably don't want. This is why I never understood the champion versus champion thing, because then you're just having a champion lose. You don't want Logan to lose. You definitely don't want Gunther to lose. So it ain't that ain't happening. And Gunther's already facing Miz at Survivor Series anyway, which is a better opponent for him.
Yeah, Jet Valley Driver says no matter what, he'll hate on Logan. I get it. I've said it before. I understand there are unlikable things about him that he's done in his past outside of wrestling and stuff. I completely get. There's even stuff he's currently involved with that's sketchy. I get it. But are you all really telling me if like he went out there and got beat down by Gunther for like 10 minutes straight and took all of his moves, took a whole bunch of chops and stuff, you wouldn't, at the very least, you wouldn't respect the fact that he went out there and did that for us? I mean, I think he deserves a lot of credit, but I also, once again, I get why people don't like him. But that's a great idea with AJ. You came up with two really good ideas just then, Jeremy. The AJ match and that tag team match with Bad Bunny and Ray versus him and Dom, I think those are both money. And then you can get to WrestleMania with LA Knight. Yeah, that's all. Or you can do LA Knight and him before that. You can maybe do AJ and Logan at WrestleMania would make sense too, I think.
Yeah, let's move on to AEW Spotlight here.
Over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. And it was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
AEW is back, according to those online. We got a few things to talk about with AEW. We're going to start with this elite match. The Young Bucks confront Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho backstage, and it sets up a full gear match where if the Young Bucks win, we're back to doing trios matches, and if Jericho and Omega win, they get the tag team title match. Kenny called them children. I should have used the Punk bumper for this one.
Yeah, you can always go back.
All right. Let's use the Punk bumper for this, because the stuff Kenny was saying, and even Jericho was a little where he was going.
I'm old and I'm fucking tired, and I work with fucking children. I'm tired of wrestling these kids that think they know everything.
Honestly, fantastic comments. That promo lives forever.
Not
even a promo. But yeah, this is what we're doing now with the Elite. They at least mentioned that the Young Bucks are owed a tag team title match after not really, commenting on that after they won the match at Wrestle Dream. Ricky Starks remembered, but nobody else did.
I forgot.
Most people did, honestly. Most people did. But they're bringing it back around, and finally, what do we make of this? This infighting from the Elite, and Jericho claiming that he helped start the company. Cody Eraser from the Elite last night.
Yeah, I caught that. I absolutely caught that when they were like, the four of us started this together. It's like, oh, there was Cody though. Cody's a big part of this. Maybe even the biggest part, depending on how you look at it.
Can't mention Cody.
But okay, so a few things about this. On the positive side, I think it's gonna be a really good match. I like Kenny and Jericho teaming together. I like the Jet. What do they call the Jets? What do they call themselves?
Oh, the Golden Jets.
Golden Jets. Because that's Winnipeg, right? Is that like the hockey reference?
Yeah,
I'm so bad with that stuff.
Yeah, Winnipeg Jets. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's one of the few sports where like I don't know a whole lot about what's going on. But I like them as a tag team a lot. And I really liked when the Young Bucks wrestled like Omega and Hangman and stuff like that. And so I think like the Young Bucks, I think will go out there and have a really, really damn good match. I think the Young Bucks is like, they're honestly, for my money, maybe the best tag team of all time. Like as far as like in-ring matches, like the catalog that they have for their career is like insane. So I trust that this is going to be a really good match. I would prefer if Jericho and Omega won for a few reasons, which kind of gets into the negatives of this also, I guess, because like I don't like the bickering and them like bitching at each other and being like, it's kind of childish and annoying. But I guess that's the point. I get that. Like it's meant to come off as kind of like heelish for the Bucks. But it's like you just did all this work to like bring the Elite back together, and now it's like they're fighting each other. Will they or won't they stories playing out again? And I just don't see the point in like breaking up Omega and Jericho if they're working well as a tag team. And also, I don't see the point in putting the trio back together of Omega and the Young Bucks, because that kind of didn't really, I don't want to say it didn't go anywhere last time, but like I feel like they've already gotten, like the juice has already been squeezed out of that, if that makes sense. Like there's no point in them going back to trios and them trying to become the trios champions again. Like it's kind of like been there, done that. And it also kind of, unfortunately, for the Young Bucks especially, they're just kind of like lost in the mix, which is weird in a lot of ways too.
It feels like they shouldn't have been lost in the mix after they earned their title match, and then you build a title program.
No, I agree. I'm just saying because like you had mentioned, I completely forgot that they even became the number one contenders. I know they mentioned it in the promo last night when they were talking with Jericho and Omega, but like, because that's obviously on the line in the match, but like, it just kind of feels like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I feel like the Elite but it also, like, this is where we should be though in a lot of ways too. Like Hangman and what he's doing with Swerve, like it's interesting, it's good. Like the matches are going to be great. We've already seen some of it, but like the future matches and everything, like he's got his own thing going on. Like Kenny and Jericho, they should explore more of that with the two of them as a tag team, and two of them being like two of the best wrestlers of all time, and also from the same hometown and everything. And like you don't necessarily need to have the Elite so tied to one another constantly. And it's also just been kind of played out in a lot of ways. Like what more can you really do with them as a group? And what more, I don't know. It just kind of feels like because of all of this, the Young Bucks are just kind of lost in that mix along with it. And they're still like the best in-ring tag team in the world. Like when they have matches, they're incredible, but it's also like, how many times could they become the tag champions? How many times could they wrestle the same tag teams? This and that. And they did found the company. So they were looked at as like, kind of like the kings of this whole thing when it started, but now they're like not nearly as featured and stuff. But it's part of that's also on them, to be fair. Like they're not nearly as involved in like social media as they used to be. They're not it's a different connection they have with the fans than they used to as well, I feel like. So I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it. I like the actual matchup though. I think that's smart that it gets all four of these guys on the pay-per-view for Full Gear, and I think it's going to be a good tag team match. And I also don't blame the Young Bucks, by the way. Like, I know there's been a lot of, like, they got a lot of hate and BS on social media, and they probably, like, they made it. Like, they don't need to be terminally online. They don't need to be on social media and making merch and all this stuff like they used to, because they made it. They're multimillionaires, EVPs for AEW. Like, they don't need to grind like that anymore. And I recognize that too. There's nothing wrong with that. But it is kind of, do you understand what I'm saying with all that, Jeremy? Like, it just kind of feels like the Bucks are just kind of lost now in their own company a little bit.
Chi-Town Spursons super chat says elite friendship drama always hits. Do what you do best. Hey, it works for people. Like,
that's fair.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
With the Young Bucks and the elite stuff, who said Jeff Validriver? I think the story is indeed that the Bucks have been screwed over, forgotten about from their pals. Well, they probably should have, had Hangman's back a little bit more when his house got broken into. Instead, they were just like, hey, come wrestle this 6-man match with us. So I think it can work a few ways. I think they did lose the plot a little bit over the past few months. With the Bucks specifically, Jericho seemed to get caught in, or not Jericho, Omega seemed to get caught in the Jericho universe of like, hey, let's do tag team matches. And now we have Coda, and now we get Paul White in there. Hangman was doing the thing with Swerve, and it seemed like the Bucks were just setting up for a tag team title match, and then they just didn't capitalize on that. And I kind of see why, because I do think the Bucks are better as heels. They would have been baby faces against Ricky and Bill. The match is in Los Angeles, so they definitely would have been baby faces on top of that. But now they're even doing sort of a babyface match with Omega and Jericho. It's weird. It feels like it's just something that the Bucks want to do, which fine. If this is what they want to do, it does feel a little bit separated from other stuff that is going on. So yeah, at least they brought back that, hey, we do have this tag team title shot. Let's capitalize on that and remember that. And now we'll see if Jericho and Omega can win that. But okay, they have the tag team title shot. Either Jericho and Omega win, they get the title shot, fine, or the Bucks win and they just want to do trio stuff. But they keep their tag team title shot. So are they gonna go after the tag titles? Are they going to do trio stuff? Are they going to go back after the trios titles, which is held by the Acclaimed, and everybody loves the Acclaimed? So the Bucks feel very separated from things right now, and they got to figure out a way to get them back into this. Because what if the Bucks lose? Then they lose their tag title shot. They're not doing trio stuff. Are they just back in the tag team division, but they've lost their title shot that they earned because they lost to a team that was thrown together a month ago? They got to figure some stuff out.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's confusing. It's confusing and it's convoluted. It's as much as I love AEW and Tony Khan, obviously, and all that. Like, it's funny when even like we start getting confused looking at it like that. Like, with all the wrestling we watch and everything, we're looking at it, we're just like, how does it even make sense? like us, like where do they really go from here? And like, we're like, because even like you said, best case scenario for the Young Bucks, they win the match, they keep their tag title shot, and then they focus on trios with Kenny. It makes no sense.
Yeah, do they not want the tag titles?
Right.
Like, why are they putting this shot on the line? Because they suggested it. Oh no, Jericho suggested it. So because Jericho remembered that they had this thing, but why are they putting their tag title match on the line?
And why do the Young Bucks even care enough about like breaking up Jericho and Omega? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are they like, well, if we win this match, then you guys can't team together anymore. It's like, okay. And how many stories do I need about friendship, by the way? Like, I mean, to be honest, like, we already got plenty going on with friendship between Adam Cole, MJF, Roddy Strong, and all that going on. We got the best friends. I mean, that's a different thing completely, but it's just kind of like, now the Young Bucks are butthurt because Kenny has new friends. It's just all about friends. It's like, unless like the Young Bucks are involved in this like devil thing or something, like all this friendship like combines, which is possible, I guess. But it's like, you know what I mean? Does that not seem a little weird to everyone else too? Or it's like, and also let me put it this.
Hey, look, the company was criticized for AEW All Elite Friends. That was the thing. That was the joke, right? Like, it was all friends.
Just lean into it.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know about you, Jeremy. We're both the same age. How often do you spend time complaining to people you know about them not being good enough friends to you? That never happens to me, I feel like. And it's not because I have like the best friends in the world or anything like that. As a matter of fact, some of my friends aren't great friends at all. They bail on stuff all the time. It is what it is. But like, I've never, like, is that really that much of like a common theme in people around our age that like they're going around having serious conversations with people they know constantly about like, hey, your friends, I don't like that you're friends with this person more than you're friends with me. Like, I just can't imagine having that conversation with somebody as a grown adult. And we have an entire show of it.
Jeff, a lot of people are saying like it's high school. Wrestling is high school. So I actually understand that being the point.
Yes.
Like, should it mature past that? Maybe. But I actually understand that. I don't spend a lot of time being like, this person's a bad friend to me. I mention it and it goes on. But yeah, that's life, honestly.
Like, have I ever once come to you and been like, Jeremy, you know, you do the show with Joel 3 times a week, man. I don't know. Are we really friends still?
Oh, are you airing grievances right now, Jensen? That's
literally the first thing that came to mind. No, literally the first thing that came to mind is like, I'm talking to somebody who we have a mutual friend. We have multiple mutual friends. Like, you do a show with SP3. So do I. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Are you better friends with SP3 than I am? Like, does that, well, either way, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? We're all friends with one another. Like, who would care about any of this?
Oh, Jensen's letting out some feelings right now. Some feelings that he had deep down that he never addressed with me.
Yeah, I'm really upset that, you know, that your friends are also my friends. In that, and then when we're not doing a show together, you're doing shows with them, and we're not doing a show together. I'm doing shows with them, and it's like, who would care? I just can't imagine caring if somebody's better friends with one person than another when we're all still friends. It's such a weird.
Wait, the Bucks aren't friends with Jericho though. They don't like Jericho.
Well, they're saying they don't like. Well, and I know part of it stems from like the story where like, because like the Inner Circle like beat down their dad years ago and stuff like that, and they haven't forgotten that, which I appreciate, like, that they haven't let that slide, because that you shouldn't. But I don't know. It's also like there was a lot that went down between all of the elite also, and they wound up figuring it out and becoming friends again and stuff. I mean, it's professional wrestling. So and also the Bucks of Jericho, where I just forget that ever happened. I remember. So I'm just saying, like, it just kind of feels strange. Like, even with the Young Bucks thing, the Adam Cole, MJF, Roderick Strong thing is very strange. It's entertaining in a lot of ways. It's interesting to see MJF as a babyface. That's the most kind of interesting thing about all of it, I feel like. And the idea that Adam Cole, which we're going to get to the devil and all that stuff too, but like once again, grown adults sitting around, like Adam Cole and MJF sitting around on a boat together, and Adam Cole having to explain to MJF that like it's okay to have more than one friend. I get it. It's a little different because MJF's gimmick is like he's never had friends before, but Roderick Strong's over here in a neck brace in a wheelchair yelling for Adam to make him PB&J sandwiches, because and Adam Cole isn't just nutting up and being like, bro, grow up. But he's like, no, we have been friends for a long time. I'm going to make sure to do everything you want me to. And I'm going to make time for, it's weird. It's weird for adults to act like this. I'm sorry, this is, but also talking about a line of entertainment that includes, you know, guys dressed up like, you know, like in bull helmets, like Black Taurus, and so, you know what I mean? Like, so it's all strange, but you know what I mean? I just feel like we've gotten a little too into the whole, like, grown men getting salty that they have other friends stories. It's kind of weird.
Maybe the Bucks feel slighted that Kenny picked Coda and Paul White instead of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are terrible friends because they should have had Hangman's back after his house got broken into. They should have been out there trying to fight Swerve Strickland themselves. Instead, Penta has to come along. Like, Penta doesn't like that you broke into Swerve's house because Penta loves family. It's like, why is Penta standing up for Hangman Page here? Where's Matt and Nick to stand up for their friends?
Right.
They're shitty friends as well.
This also, D-Eddie, it says, this is the unexplored side effect of massive head trauma. I'm not sure if you're talking about me or if you're talking about like the idea of grown men getting so upset about them having other friends. But either way, good chat. Yeah, no, we're both, we're both on the same page about it. It's weird. It's just kind of weird. But once again, where I think it's all heading, I think it's gonna be good because the devil thing is interesting. When it comes to like the MJF and in that story, but once again, I don't really care that the young, like, let me put it this way: the Young Bucks being salty about this doesn't make me like the Young Bucks anymore, or like we feel sympathy towards them, or which might be the point because they're trying to be heels. I get that, but you know what I mean? It's just I don't care. Like I wish that this story between these two teams would have been built literally any other way other than you're friends with him now. You're not good enough friends with us anymore. We've been friends forever. And now you don't want to tag with us after we've already accomplished everything we possibly can as a trio and multiple companies and founded this company and been together forever and reformed and broke up and reformed and broke up. And now you want to tag with someone else? Who cares?
Jeff Valley Driver says they all had a powwow to be friends again, and they all did their own thing. And now everyone's mad that they've done their own thing. Is that?
Which, once again, what's the problem with that? Like, in the real world, which we aren't in talking about wrestling, I get that. But like, dude, I go years at a time without seeing certain groups of friends. And then we get together and it's awesome. And we have a great time and we reminisce and we kick back and we tell a bunch of inside jokes and we have a great time. And then I don't see them again for a year or two or whatever. Like, big deal. Because I got other friends that I hang out with more consistently or whatever. And so do they. Because we're all adults here and it's okay to have more than one friend. Like, it's so weird. Such a weird idea. Anyway.
Oh, Jeff Valley Driver, Jensen mentioned that Jericho beat up the Bucks dad.
I did. I brought that up. Yeah, but once again, we also need to keep in mind how many despicable things have happened in the world of wrestling that have been forgiven or ignored. This happened a long time ago. In the real world, if somebody like came after my dad, I would never forget that. Of course, but like, think about how many people we have seen become like partners and friends and stuff on the wrestling show that have literally done the most despicable things you could possibly imagine to one another, but then became even like Kenny and Hangman, like the two of them. Like, I mean, like there's plenty of that in wrestling.
Here's the thing. I don't mind the kind of the setup with it. I mind the timing of it. I wish it would have happened after they do the street fight. I wish the Bucks would just do their title shot at Full Gear, lose to Ricky and Bill, and then it all kind of converges together and you do all of this. Then the Bucks confront Kenny and Jericho and be like, hey, how come, you picked Coda and Paul White to be on your team? How come you're aligning with Jericho and doing all of this? And then Kenny can be like, well, you guys were focused on your tag team match, so you weren't there for me. You guys didn't worry. Yeah, so Jeff Alexander says the story should have started after Wrestle Dream instead of last week. I don't even think it should start after Wrestle Dream. I think it could actually have started after Full Gear, and you kind of just do what I mentioned. I get the story in and of itself. I think the timing is a little off-putting because this probably isn't the time for a lot of this because there's already so much going on in here. It feels very shoehorned in there of like, the Bucks don't really want to work with Ricky and Bill for some reason, so they're just going to do this match with Jericho and Omega. And the street fight with the Don Callis family feels like it should be a blow-off on a pay-per-view, not on Dynamite.
I agree with that 100%. And excuse me, it also kind of feels like the way you said, like it kind of feels shoehorned. It also kind of feels like, okay, well, Full Gear's coming up. How do we not have Omega, Jericho, and the Young Bucks on the show yet? And it's in California. It's like, okay, we got to get them on somehow. What makes the most sense to get them on in 2 weeks? And it was that what we saw last night.
Okay, they could have just done the street fight on the pay-per-view, which
Agreed.
I don't think and they could have just done the Bucks title shot. So Jeff Driver is saying, they would have had another Bucks story with Ricky. Ricky is busy with other people. Okay, they won the title shot. They could have just gone right into the title shot with doing that story. It's not like they didn't know they were winning the title. They could have just done that story instead of all these other stories that they're doing on Collision with Ricky. But the Bucks just haven't been present on. They were the ROH 6-man tag team champions for no real reason because they just lost them back to Gates of Agony. Like they lost the plot a little bit. The timelines didn't align.
When like Takeshita and Guevara and that, like they haven't been announced for anything for Full Gear, have they? Or did I miss that?
No, we don't even know who the 4 people are with the Don Callis family because I think they're waiting to see if Sammy gets cleared.
Okay.
And if he doesn't get cleared, I imagine they'll try their best to get Ospreay in there because it looks like it's at least Takeshita, Hobbs, and Fletcher, but they haven't announced the 4th. And again, I think they're waiting on Sammy, and if they can't get him, maybe they add somebody. Or if they can get Ospreay over, they bring over Ospreay.
Yeah. Well, I think if and anytime they have access to Ospreay, you bring him in no matter what the scenario is for sure. Yeah. But but I guess kind of my point in bringing that up, and to be fair, maybe they're waiting for this to play out before they can book this or announce this. But if they don't have Takeshita at the very least wrestling on Full Gear, that's like so counterproductive.
I feel like they've dropped the ball with him after the victories over Omega.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying, like, that's mega dropping the ball. They're not even having feature on your next pay-per-view. Like, after all this, like, that's nuts to give him that kind of push. And then, but I agree with you. The last, like, few weeks, I haven't felt it like that, like what you're saying, too. But, like, that's actually, like, really alarming to push him the way they did and have him get these wins over Omega and then just, like, not have a plan for him for Full Gear. That would be, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm sure they have a plan, but like if they don't, that's insane.
Now people mentioned the AW women's division. So my AW spotlight was Mariah May coming into the women's division. She is all elite. If you're not familiar with her, she was a big Stardom breakout star this year. It was her first year in Stardom. And she managed to really, find a way to stand out from a lot of others in Stardom, not only with her in-ring ability, which she held her own over there, but just her charisma and her really just overall presence. I think a lot of people were kind of figuring she was going to AEW after these last few weeks. She made her debut. I like the segment that they did. Big, and I know a lot of people said it, big Mickey Trish vibes. With Mariah May playing the Mickey role of like, I came to Stardom because Tony was there. I'm a big fan of your work, RJ, because you're working with Tony. Basically, she's almost a Tony Storm stalker. And I know Tony Storm, rightfully so, getting a lot of high marks for her work right now. They're just going to recreate Mickey and Trish. That's one of the most talked about and best women's angles of all time. I got no real issue with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely got those vibes when she started standing for Tony Storm during the introduction of her on the show last night. I will say, though, I think she's a smart signing. I'm clear my throat for just a second. Give me just 1 second to mute myself.
Jensen's about to praise Mariah May.
There we go. But I think she's a really smart signing for a lot of reasons. One, I think she's incredibly marketable. Just looking at her alone, she looks like a star. Two, she can wrestle. I've seen her wrestle. She can go. I haven't seen as much of her as I would like, and that's not her fault. It's Stardom's fault because like I might be making some excuses here. I haven't tried the hardest. I haven't gone out of my way the hardest for this, to be fair. But Stardom doesn't seem super accessible to me. Like and even when I've tried to watch Stardom before, like it hasn't always been like the most reliable, like streaming and stuff. So like most of what I've seen of Mariah in the ring has been like clips or stuff I've had to like really go out of my way to check out. But I actually knew of her before she might not even been wrestling yet. I just remember her on like Twitter before, like she like, because this is like years ago. I know we'd been following each other for a long time because we have like mutual friends that like remember I think she might have been friends like Kayla from Nashville. Trying to remember what her Twitter was. She hasn't been on Twitter a lot. She did the Church of Joshi with Queen of the Ring, Kayla. She was like friends with her, and they'd get together at like wrestling shows, and I'd see them like taking pictures together and stuff. And like she was kind of like, I knew her as like a part of like the wrestling fan community that would like go to shows and stuff like that. And then I found out she was actually wrestling, and I was like, oh damn, like I hope things turn out good for her, because she's a massive fan. So like if she's good at this, let's see where this goes. Fast forward if not that long, I mean maybe a handful of years, and she's signed to AEW after having a successful run in Stardom. And like granted, I've seen clips of her like twerking on people like to knock them over and stuff in Stardom and stuff like that. But like I think that I honestly think that, because once again, people are going to be, I think, surprised by how good she is in the ring. And the one criticism is going to be like AEW doesn't do a lot of women's matches. So like this is adding another woman to a roster full of women who are already having a hard time getting onto the show. So like that would be a valid criticism, I think, from like the fan base. But I think it's a smart signing by AEW. I'm very happy for her. It's a good example of somebody literally watching somebody go from like a fan to like working their ass off to getting noticed to getting signed somewhere big. I think it's really damn cool.
It's a good signing for a number of reasons. One, it should get more female presence on television. I know people are, I mean, you just mentioned of like, oh, they already have all these women, and now where are they going to be? I think they are trying to establish certain women, and you saw it with the, Julia Hart got a victory over Red Velvet. Red was back. They've been doing good work with Julia, Sky, Willow, Statlander, and everything going on there. Sheeta's obviously been picking up victories. She's got the big match with Toni Storm at Full Gear, and then we will get Mariah May playing a role in that. The Ruby stuff is kind of happening backstage. Saraya is kind of there, not really there. Ruby and Angelo Parker doing stuff backstage. Like they've done what basically I asked of them is identify 5 or 6 women that you want to have on television during this time, and then just make them a focal point of everything. Could you do some of the stories a little bit better? Could you book an extra women's match? Yes. And what I mean by stories of like Willow getting a title shot after she lost the 4-way and also lost to Statlander in singles match, like was that necessary to have Willow lose that match? No. They could have just had somebody else in there. The point would have been all the same. I mentioned last week, hey, they could have done 2 women's matches on that show last week. So I think there's different ways they could get there, but I'm not going to knock at least that the effort is there to put more women on television. So hopefully, again, with Mariah May, if May wins, or not May, Toni Storm wins, if Mariah helps her win the title at Full Gear, or Mariah costs her the title. I hope if Mariah helps her, it's not the end of Shota, because she just disappears for a while. If Mariah costs Toni, at least we know the Mariah Toni feud will continue, and then the Mariah Toni feud will continue, the story will continue, and then we will still get Shota title matches, I would assume. So that would be ideal, I think, and then Shota gets to continue her reign. But I do like that they are just trying to feature more women. It would be nicer to have more women's matches, but at least they're getting more segments overall now. That's at least something. It's it shouldn't have taken this long, yes, but like at least we're getting there. We're getting there, baby steps.
Yes, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I excuse me. I actually pulled up. I was just curious. I pulled up some old direct messages between myself and Mariah, and this is from.
Oh, look at.
We started following. This is back in 2017. So like that's how long I've been following this journey. And back in 2019, I messaged her about, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because this gives a good timeline. Where is this? Congrats on your first match. This was in February 2019. So this would have been. She started wrestling in the beginning of 2019, or had her first match. So 19 to 20, 21, 22. So we're talking like 3 to 4 years of like.
I mean, she's only 25.
I know that's pretty damn impressive. That's pretty damn. That's actually incredibly impressive. So I'm looking forward to people seeing what she's all about. I'm bummed I never got to interview her. We talked about doing it in 2019, and she downloaded Skype for it and everything. We never made it happen. Damn. Now I'm never gonna get that interview probably. But I'm very happy for her. Very, very happy for her. That's awesome to see. It also gives hope, I think, to like just other fans that want to get into it. Like if you really have a passion for it and you want to dedicate to it, Mariah made it, and it didn't take her super long. You know, I mean, there's a lot of, you got to be damn good to accomplish it that quickly, but like it's possible. So very, very cool.
Let's go to the other spotlight, which still has something to do with AEW.
Our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
Samoa Joe went straight up the middle and dropping his ROH television championship, where he had just become the longest reigning ROH television champion. He dropped it and he said, I'm going after the AEW World Title, a title match that he earned a couple months ago and then lost, but now I guess he's going to get it back. Because he's trying to make friends with MJF and he says he has MJF back. Sure. But he lost. He lost the AEW World Title match just 2 months ago, less than. It was Grand Slam when he lost. But he dropped the title. That's the big thing here. He beat Keith Lee and then he's like, you know what? This title, I'm going after the AEW World Title. Your thoughts, Jensen?
Bad idea. I mean, like, I don't like, on one hand, I get it because like you don't want to beat Joe before going into like a world title match. That would mean more, but like we saw him lose to CM Punk not that long ago. Like
I don't know why he's just getting a world. He lost his world title opportunity. Like he lost. I know he's gotten some wins since then, like a victory over Keith Lee, but he lost by. He just lost. Like, why is he? And he declared after, by the way, losing that title match. Like they did that promo on Collision, which ruled, where he's smoking the cigar and everything. And he's like, I'm going after the world title. And then he won a couple matches after that. But yeah, I don't know why they couldn't do a triple threat match if you don't want to beat the guy. Like
it's probably a reward for Samoa Joe for like handling things backstage.
I thought that was the case. Like when he got the title, when he got the title match at Grand Slam, I thought that was like, oh, this,
Maybe now he's just intimidated Tony to the point where he needs another one. He's gotten in his face, and Tony's like, okay, sir, like I'll whatever you need. I've already lost my favorite wrestler. I can't lose you too. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense that he'd get another world title shot right now. And I mean,
he's been winning. In fairness, like he's at least gotten victories over competition more than Daniel Garcia got, which I was happy to see Daniel Garcia get the title shot. But like Garcia was losing a bunch of matches, beat Trent, and he's like, "Hey, can I get a title shot?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." At least Joe's gotten more victories than Garcia.
Right, and I agree with that. And also, like, I like the idea that like the AEW World Championship is so valued that like multiple people are gunning for it all at the same time. Like that's realistic. There would be more than one person that would want a shot at that title. But I just feel like there's a list of people that are more interesting that haven't had a chance as recently as Joe that would make more sense. And I think that's kind of where you're getting at as well. It's like there's nothing wrong with Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is one of the best ever. I love Samoa Joe. I'm not going to sit here and like knock Samoa Joe or knock Samoa Joe's credibility. Samoa Joe rules. But like there's a gigantic roster of AEW talent, and Samoa Joe just had a shot recently. And then on top of it, I really don't like the vacating the TV championship, because what's that make your championship and this Ring of Honor as a brand look like in general, when it's like, I just defended this title more than anybody ever. Like, broke this record, unbeatable. Don't care though. Thing means nothing. I'm just gonna go and leave this here and go try to win something I care about. It's like, okay, so you don't care about this title that you've defended over and over and over again. So that really never meant anything to begin with, because you really didn't care apparently. And that title is also like you're linked to the show of Ring of Honor. So like really you don't really care about being on that show. And if people don't care about being a part of the show, why should fans care about watching it? So like, if the titles mean nothing, if the titles mean so little that you're just going to, he did the equivalent of like the Scott Hall, like doing the TV title between his legs and dunking it in a trash can type thing. You know what I mean? Like, he might as well have just done that. Well, pretty much is. It's you're leaving it like, honestly, what should have happened is like Ethan Page or someone should have run out and just grabbed it. Like, you know what I mean? Like someone should have went and grabbed that title belt and been like, you know what? I'll make it mean something. Like, I don't know, but like it's a weird, do you not agree? Is that not a super weird look to become the longest reigning champion at something and then just put the title down and be like, this actually means nothing. Plus the show that I was defending it on, I don't want to be on anymore.
It was a little strange. People in the chat are saying that I do like Jeff Elliott's comment. It's just a belt that doesn't have feelings. People have feelings about ROH though.
No, I know.
People have feelings about ROH, Jeff.
Yeah, no, I know what he means by that. Yeah, the physical title belt did not have its feelings hurt. Yeah. But yes. But it makes the show look bad that you don't care enough that you want to be a part of it.
I think people, and I understand this point, and I'm kind of part of it, is that like you want the champion, you want them to lose the title to put someone over, and it's like, okay, they get the title. Like people wanted Mark Briscoe to beat Joe for the title because Mark has always talked about wanting to win like the TV title. That was the bigger deal than the world title to him for the longest time. And he lost earlier in the year to Joe, and they're supposed to go after the world title, and then he got hurt, and all this stuff happened. Like people just wanted Joe to lose, so you make somebody in that regard. I understand that line of thought, and for the most part, I do agree with that line of thought. Here is what I'm hoping out of all of this. Here's what I'm hoping out of all of it, and something I've been saying for the longest time. And this is why I didn't mind of Joe doing just kind of what he did. I need ROH separate from AEW.
Agree.
I need it separate. Joe has always just been on AEW TV this entire time. And he's made it clear, despite being the ROH champion, he wants the AEW world title. So if he doesn't want the ROH TV title anymore because he's focused on the world title, fine by me, honestly. Like if that's your focus, cool. Don't hold this belt up anymore. Would I like to see you actually like lose it and drop it and everything? Yeah, probably. But I understand, I'm focused on this. Let me just drop this title. I'm holding up this division because I don't actually care about this thing. Now put the ROH TV title on someone who stays on ROH. Stop blending the ROH AEW stuff because I don't think it's a good look for ROH. Just don't. So I hope that the ROH TV title goes to someone who defends it on ROH TV because they've done a good job. Do I think Eddie Kingston deserves to be on AEW TV more? Yes. But they've done a good job of making him like an ROH guy right now. When they put the 6-man tag titles on the Elite, they were never going to appear on that show.
Right.
And then
they were just all AEW. Yeah.
Right. And then they dropped them back to Gates of Agony, and they are more or less an ROH team, but they're still doing AEW stuff. I wish they would just stay ROH, but they're tied to Swerve, so they gotta be on AEW TV. I get that. MJF is the tag team champions by himself. He's never on ROH. He needs to lose that title and get it on. Like he should have lost it to the Kingdom, or not the Kingdom, the Righteous. Well, the Kingdom should have won that damn match, the contender match, and he should have lost it. Like, get these titles on ROH centric people and keep that stuff on ROH. If you want to pop something with Battle of the Belts and be like, hey, here's an ROH title match that we've built on ROH TV, but it's on Battle of the Belts because we don't have an ROH pay-per-view coming up. Cool, do that. But this is why everyone thinks Athena, rightfully so, is the best champion in all of AEW, not just ROH, is because she's strictly there. She doesn't have a bunch of other stuff going on. She defends the title and she looks badass. Like, that's why she's heavily praised, again, rightfully so, that for her title run, because they keep it that way. They keep her strictly on ROH. They don't have her coming up on AEW. I know she lost in the Owen, but they didn't turn that really into anything. So that's why I didn't fully mind Joe doing this. I do agree, like, hey, should he have lost the title, put somebody over, made somebody? Yeah, I get that. But I also understand Joe's line of thinking, and Jeff Elliott Driver, it kind of made this as well. It's like, hey, his focus is on the AEW title. He doesn't want the ROH title. Fine. All right. I understand that as well. And he's been winning matches. He should get another title shot at some point, especially with the way people just get title shots. Yeah. But I get the criticism, like, oh, why should we care about this title if Joe doesn't care about this title? That's now an ROH thing that Tony's got to figure out, of making people care about this title.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, and I especially agree with like that they really should separate Ring of Honor and AEW completely. So hopefully, Joe should have done option C.
I made that. Yeah, I said option honor. Apparently, you can just cash in the secondary ROH title to get a shot at the main AEW title.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, it's been a problem like the whole time that Ring of Honor has been, but it's become an even bigger problem with, like you're saying, MJF being the sole Ring of Honor tag team champion right now and stuff, and he's not going to ever really be a part of that show, and it just doesn't. They need to separate the two. And Eddie is a good example of like how you could do it right, because whenever Eddie loses the Ring of Honor title, he'll just be right back on AEW TV in a top spot. Like, it's not like he's going to be, you know what I mean? Eddie will be fine. It's okay to have these. You can't do it to everybody. Like, I wouldn't have like Bryan Danielson be like Ring of Honor exclusive or something like that. But like Eddie, it works great because it also keeps him from getting lost in the mix in AEW for the moment. Like, he can go be a champion of Ring of Honor, and then whenever he loses that title, he can be, do whatever for AEW. Maybe go towards the AEW World Title at some point soon or something. But yeah, I don't like the idea of like, I understand the concept of like, I defended this title so many times, there's nothing left for me to do with this, and I want to move on to something bigger and better. But there's a way you can do it in which it doesn't like devalue the championship belt and the company altogether, and just make it look like, because like, even when in hindsight, when you go and look at Joe's title run now, if you were to go back and watch those matches, you could have the mindset also of like, it kind of devalues a lot of the run too. It was all kayfabe, by the way, of course, but like it's like you go back and watch some of these matches for his run, and you just kind of think in the back of your mind, like, he didn't care about this title at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's cool that he was defending it, but like at the end of the day, he didn't care about this. Like, he didn't even care about the show. Like, it's just, he wants to be our AEW champion, not the Ring of Honor champion. So this is kind of a waste of his time, it kind of feels like. So anyway, I feel like that's kind of everyone's mindset, is like, that's on both shows. But if you're a Ring of Honor exclusive, then you would really care, because you'd want to be the Ring of Honor champion, because you wouldn't have the option of being the AEW champion.
I do think this rules. Anime Otaku says AEW just announced Samoa Joe King of Television t-shirt on Twitter. So everyone go buy this shirt right now. The King of Television.
Today?
Wait, no, yeah, November 9th. Look at the tweet. November 9th, 10 a.m.
They did the day after he.
Yeah, that kind of rules, honestly.
That's mind-boggling. I don't even have words for that. That's
He's
like
still the king of TV. Why is he not? You could still crown yourself the king of TV with no TV titles.
Right. As long as you don't want to be the TV champion.
Yeah, see, no one dethroned him.
No, I know.
Exactly.
I'm not saying it doesn't make any. I'm not saying it doesn't make complete nonsense. It just, the timing seems very strange that you would give up your TV championship and then have merch come out saying you're the king of television.
People are like trying to explain this. Yes, he called them that after he won the TNT title, and then he had the ROH TV title and the TNT title. Then he lost the TNT title, but he still called himself that because he was still the ROH TV champion. Now he's not even the ROH TV champion. So we get it. We understand the lore. We get it. It's just funny that one day after no longer having this TV title, they're like, King of Television, Samoa Joe.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, if we were talking about how a lot of today's theme for AEW is just like confusion for the most part. The Jensen is freaking out at LMAO. I'm not really freaking out. I'm just confused. It's like, why'd you do that? Anyway.
It kind of rules. They just like scheduled that tweet. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, 100%. They scheduled that like 3 weeks ago, and they're like, Oh wait, what happened last night? I wonder if they'll leave it up. Oh, I mean, I'm sure they'll leave it up. It just, was the shirt already out? I hope the shirt was
I don't
already
know.
out.
I don't know if it would like came. It would have been even funnier if
they just
it came out like yesterday.
Yeah.
Like order, it's Samoa Joe, King of Television, and then he just dropped the title.
You know what? I don't want this anymore.
Yeah. People are just gonna lay down their t-shirts like, not wearing this shirt ever again. I want the MJF AEW World Title t-shirt now.
That would be kind of a fun social media gimmick, like something a lot less important than something like the ALS challenge. But you could do the Samoa Joe King of TV challenge. You buy his King of Television t-shirt, then just leave it somewhere in public and walk away. Video safe yourself doing it.
It would roll if it was a pre-order. I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny. Don't take this shit serious, everybody.
Hopefully this shirt's discounted to like $10. Like,
they should discount the shirt, honestly. They should after last night. It's like, you know what it is? It's like when the third world countries get the like loser t-shirts.
Yes.
They get sent the 2023 NBA champion Miami Heat. Let's go. Yeah.
They lost the finals. Yeah.
And they lost in the finals. That's this t-shirt.
That's
right
so
here.
funny. The commemorative losing, because for people who don't know what Jeremy's talking about, what they'll print like all the newspapers in advance, they'll print all the t-shirts and merch in advance for both teams in like the Super Bowl and stuff, so that whoever wins, they have it all ready, so you can like buy all the commemorative stuff, and right away. But because one of the teams is going to lose, they have all this for the losing team too that never gets used, and they wind up sending it to like third world countries as like just like free clothing and stuff like that. That is hilarious. The idea of like, I'll see it. We're gonna find out. Like, these Samoa Joe t-shirts are going to be like all over like a Mr. Beast video in the future where he's in like another country, like building 100 wells in Africa again. And it's going to be a bunch of kids wearing these Samoa Joe t-shirts all over the place, and they just sent all over the place. Oh my gosh. That's too funny. These t-shirts became obsolete before they were ever released. That's so funny.
The other spotlight, Will Ospreay, Shota Umino from New Japan Power Struggle. Ospreay got the victory. The big, like, it's one of, if you haven't seen the match by this point, go out of your way to watch it. It's a lot of people are putting it better, at least on the level of the Ospreay and Omega matches. I still like Ospreay and Omega as kind of my top match for the year. I got to go back and rewatch a lot of this stuff, but it definitely deserves to stand out in that kind of class of like, it's on a different level than your standard Will Ospreay match. And it's certainly the best match of Shota's career. The big talking point is kind of what happened afterwards, where Moxley and Ospreay faced off, and then David Finlay came out and he attacked both men and then smashed the titles. And now we have a triple threat match for Wrestle Kingdom. I want to get your thoughts on where they go for this Wrestle Kingdom match, Jensen, because I think that Finlay's there to take the pinfall in this, but I know a lot of people, and Joel's one of them, think Finlay's there to win this title and start holding it. I feel like he's there to take the pin because they didn't want Moxley losing and they didn't want Ospreay losing, but it's like, yeah, Finlay can take this fall. What do you think?
I feel the same way, but I also feel like this is going to be so contradictory because it's really impossible for me to say this the way that I mean to. I think your line of thinking is accurate. Like, because I don't think that they would want either Ospreay or Moxley to lose the match, but I think the most likely person to win the match is Dave Finlay, because like, for whatever reason, like, they're going with him, and like, it's the US title, right? So it's not the world title, at least.
Yeah. So
like, I think he's gonna. I mean, unless you want to keep the run going with Ospreay and Ospreay pins Dave, I guess I don't see Moxley winning.
Well, if Ospreay wins, they got to know what Ospreay's plan is for February, because he's gonna be a free agent, and he ain't just gonna win that thing if he's leaving for WWE. So if Ospreay wins, that to me seems like almost a sign. I mean, they have a few shows still at the end of January. They literally have New Year's Dash the next night, so he could easily lose the title the next night. But yeah, if Ospreay loses, then, or if Ospreay wins, then that seems a little tipped off that either one, he's going to lose the title later on, or he might be staying in AEW or New Japan.
Well, you also can't 100% with certainty know that they know what's going on either, because like, remember how Jay White lost the loser leaves New Japan match and they were sure he was going to WWE, and then he wound up in AEW, and it's like, oh, we didn't really need to do that because he could have just been in both still. So that was kind of weird.
So people are saying, and this is the reasoning why I do think Finlay can win this as well, is that we know he is the guy who is there. He is
right.
New Japan. Moxley's obviously going to stick with AEW, and he's going to do mostly AEW stuff. He comes to New Japan often enough, whether it's in the US or Japan, to where you can put the title on him and it's fine, but he's not like an active New Japan wrestler. Ospreay, the future is cloudy with him right now, whether he sticks in New Japan. If he sticks with AEW, he can still do New Japan stuff, but that would not make him an active New Japan guy. Finlay winning makes sense because he's at least the active New Japan guy. And I see that side of it as well.
Yeah. And Jeff Valley Driver made some good points. Like, he's their top Gaijin talent by default. Listen, and there's been multiple people, Fig Game and Jeff both said that Finlay should stack Mox and Ospreay.
Hilarious.
Listen, if David Finlay stacks and pins Ospreay and Moxley at the same time, I will come on here on the spotlight and eat my own face. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Although I will say, the one thing we kind of forget, I feel like sometimes, is that Dave Finlay is the son of Fit Finlay, and there are going to be wrestlers like Moxley and stuff who have a massive amount of respect for Fit. So like, there are certain, like, you know what I mean? So I always keep that in mind a little bit too, because I know Dave Finlay's not everyone's cup of tea, myself included. I don't think I'm a bit baffled by some of the decision making there too, but like, it's also the same company that pushed Evil to the top, which, like, you know, once you do that, there's no coming back. So like, I think we also have to keep that in mind too, where it's like, I'm sitting here thinking like, there's no way Moxley's going to take the L to Dave Finlay. But then I'm sitting here thinking like, oh shit, you know, Moxley's got a ton of respect for Fit. And like, it's not like Dave sucks. It's just, I don't think Dave's on the level of like a Jay White or a Kenny Omega or like an AJ Styles, like one of the previous kind of guys we're talking about here. But I think there's enough respect there for who Fit is that I think a lot of them would do jobs for his son. You know, for better or worse. I'll put that out there too. I honestly think Dave Finlay makes the most sense to win the match, because once again, it's the US title, not the world title. He's the one who's actually a part of New Japan consistently, Bullet Club, all that stuff. Like, he's going to be there going forward. If I'm Will Ospreay, I'll say it on the record. If I'm Will Ospreay, I sign with the WWE without any question. Like, y'all know I love AEW, and I think that in AEW he'd have the most banger matches. And we talked about it before here. Maybe the best move would be him going to AEW for a couple of years and then maybe going to WWE afterwards, after he's an even bigger star. But it would be a disservice to himself and to the entire wrestling industry if he did not go to WWE sometime soon. Is that for the bloodline, or do you want to say something?
Both. Always be acknowledged. Will Ospreay signs with WWE, wins the Rumble, beats Roman at WrestleMania. What do you think, Jensen?
I hate that it boxes Cody out, but he's the one person that if they did that, I would actually, the reason being, listen, like, I'm not okay with it. Come on, man. Like, I think I'm always ready repping Cody, but like the reason Ospreay is different than anyone else is because I think he legitimately has the potential to be the biggest star in wrestling, and like one of the biggest stars in like the history of wrestling if he works for the WWE and they push him, right? Because people forget he's only 30 years old.
Yeah.
Like, this guy could be the face of your company. And also he's got like that kind of like, you know, being, you know, from like Australia and everything, or the UK and everything. It's like it's just like the accent, the marketability. He's a Chad. He's a Chad looking dude, right? Like, you put him in movies. He's like good looking. He looks like a model, you know. He's just one of these guys. Like, and all that said, that's before we even talk about his in-ring work, which he is probably the best in-ring wrestler in the entire world. So like, you put all that together, like personally, selfishly, I think AEW is where he should land because like I want to see him just have the best matches against all my favorite wrestlers. I want to make that clear. But like, dude, him in the WWE, if they pushed him right with the marketing machine they can put behind him and the fact that he's only 30 and he could be their guy for the next 10, 15 years or whatever, like, because people are wrestling old now. I mean, you can be, if his body holds up, and he's also tweaked his in-ring style smartly too, where he's not taking nearly as many risks and stuff. Like, Will Ospreay could be the biggest thing in wrestling. And that's, I think, unfortunately for myself, being an AEW and indie fan, GCW fan and stuff, really the only way to become the biggest star in wrestling is to be in the WWE right now. That's the honest truth. Because WWE, that's the McDonald's. That's the, you take the McDonald's logo, turn it upside down, that's the WWE. You know what I mean? And like that's worldwide. And that's if you want to become the biggest star in the industry, there's still once again, I love AEW, but there's a massive difference between what the WWE is worldwide and what AEW is worldwide. And if Will Ospreay can be the top face of what the WWE product is, the ceiling for him is just way, way, way higher than what I think he could be in wrestling. But I think overall, we talked about it before, if he did like a 2-year deal with AEW and then went to WWE, it'd probably be like the ultimate best case scenario for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. I talked about this on Monday's show when it came to Ospreay and everything. Hey, look, it's going to come down to what Ospreay wants to do. Like it does. Like, you know, if he wants to just keep having great matches, which he can do, and, you know, try to take AEW to new heights, you signed to AEW. If you do want to be a bigger star on a global level and have the almost challenge of, hey, can I have a 5-star match in WWE? Will Ospreay has more 5-star matches to himself than AEW has in its entire, or WWE has in its entire existence as a promotion, which is, I don't put stock in that kind of stuff, but it's certainly something. Like, it's certainly something, you know, like when one guy has more, like, can he go and do that? You know, is that what does Will Ospreay want to do? I think I said it before. I think like the smartest thing, if you want to like really kind of maximize things, sign like a 3-year deal with AEW. Your star power ain't gonna fall in
It's only
3
gonna
years.
Increase. Oh yeah.
It's not gonna fall. And then see what the offer is for WWE. But WWE might just throw the offer out there now, and it might be too good for Ospreay to feel like he wants to take that now. It all depends on the offer. It all depends on what they want. That's really what it comes down to. And we're here to speculate, like kind of what we want as fans, what we think a mindset could be. At the end of the day, we got no idea what someone like Will Ospreay is thinking. Just like we had no idea what somebody like Jade was thinking. Like, we don't know when it comes to this stuff. It's like when Cody's came up and people were like, oh, there's no way Cody's going to leave something he helped create. It's like, well, Cody's mindset was something different. So
yeah. One, and like, so the things with Ospreay too, well, I actually talked about this with Doug a little bit on Tuesday. And like, I think this is some good points. Like, if I'm Tony Khan, you already have the advantage if you're Tony Khan in this situation, right? Because like Ospreay's already in the building. So like, if I was Tony Khan, what I would do, I would basically back him into a corner and I would say, Will, what do you want? I would treat this like you are trying to sign your next franchise quarterback for the Jaguars, and you're doing anything you can to make sure that they don't leave. And I would basically back him into a corner and say, give me a list of everything that you want. I don't know if I can do it all, but I'm going to do my best to get everything you want. And you already know we're planning to go back to Wembley. We'll go back there every year you're here, and you'll be the star of the show. Like, we'll treat it like our WrestleMania. You're the star of WrestleMania in front of your own people every year. It's going to be hard to say no to. Plus, you go, guess what, Will? Within the next probably 3 months, you're going to be the AEW World Champion also. So we're going to build the company around you. We're going to build our WrestleMania around you. And you're going to be the face of it all. And we're not going to have to sit there and wait. Like, we already know your value. We already know what you're getting out of you. You don't have to test yourself or prove yourself. It's already proven. You're coming in. You're our guy. And then you have assuming MJF stays or is already re-signed, you got MJF and Will Ospreay as your top 2 guys. One guy's in his mid-20s, one is in his early 30s. That's a foundation right there. You know what I mean? Like that's massive if you could lock those two dudes in. And those are two of your guys going back and forth. That's kind of your Rock Austin. Like you could do Wembley 2-3 years in a row of those two guys potentially against each other for the world title, where they wrestle each other once a year kind of thing. They don't touch each other for years at a time, but like when they do, it's a massive deal. I mean, that's what I would do if I was Tony Khan in AEW. I would give him the world title. I would promise him that he'd be the main event of the Wembley All-In shows, and give him whatever money that he like. I'd find out what the WWE is offering him and match it. But I also think that Will could look at it and go, yeah, or could just work on the actual WrestleMania. You know what I mean? So that's going to be tough. And also, he got Barry Bloom, which is very, very smart. He's going to get the best deal, and so we'll see where it goes. But I'm hyped for it because I'm a Will Ospreay guy. Trust me, if for me to sit there and say because I want no scenario other than Cody winning, but for me to say if Will Ospreay was the one to beat Roman Reigns, I'm actually okay with that. Think about what that means coming from me. You know what I mean? So.
Get a super chat from Anime Otaku before we move on. I know a lot of people hate it. I love to see her recreate I think he's talking about Mariah May, recreate the spot with Julia match where she pops back up after taking a superplex. So possible they do something like that. I'm very curious what Mariah May's in-ring work looks like with this character and obviously with kind of shorter matches. I'm very curious to see what her in-ring work comes out to be. I assume she'll be fine. She'll probably get still like good time to wrestle. But, Tony is kind of wrestling a character-based stuff right now. Mariah might have to change some things up to do sort of more character in ring work than just go out there, have a, high-speed Joshi match.
Right. Well, and speaking of Julia, like outside of Will Ospreay, Julia is probably the top available or will be available. I don't know what her current status is, but there's a lot of rumors about her potentially going somewhere else and signing somewhere else soon. She's can't miss. A lot of the things that I said about Will Ospreay, I would say about Julia as well, to be completely honest. Like WWE especially, dude, oh my God. If you can get her in the mix in the WWE with Charlotte and Bianca and Becky and those women over there, Asuka, Kyrie, oh my gosh. Like Julia's money for people who haven't seen her. So like, then she'll be another big. She should go talk to Barry Bloom too. Honestly,
we're gonna move on to our indie spotlight.
I'm gonna give a big motherfucking shout out.
H2O started their run with Uncharted Territory this past Monday. We've talked a lot about Uncharted Territory on this show. It's become really the staple of IWTV, a weekly series. It moves around on days from depending on who has it, but it's H2O's run with it. They started it this past week. It was headlined by two guys we've had on the show, Alec Price and Matt Mikowski. A lot of people we've actually had on the show were part of the debut episode of Uncharted Territory. But it was headlined by them, and it went to a no contest because Mads Kruger and Cruel, I guess Mads Kruger is cool. Matt Tremont, sorry. Matt Tremont and Cruel came out to just wreck shop, and now that's where they're going to be building because we have kind of Alec Price and Cruel, who never lost the title, kind of waiting in the wings there. But what'd you make of the debut episode and what H2O was doing with Uncharted Territory?
Yeah, it is weird seeing like Tremont and Cruel like teaming, like they've like joined forces, which is like they've been like a blood feud for a while. For people that don't know the history, and it will be a little it will be actually very convoluted, almost impossible for me to explain. But basically, Cruel was who was known as Mads Kruger in MLW. You might know him from there, but he was Cruel. Also, I believe his name was is Xavier Woods' real name is Austin Creed, right?
Yeah.
Logan Creed is Cruel. Logan Creed. But anyway, he was the IWTV champion. He had to vacate his title. Matt Tremont wound up winning the vacated championship. While he was that champion, Cruel wound up returning and brought his original title with him. So there was like kind of two IWTV champions, Cruel and Tremont. During this time span, a few weeks passed and stuff. And Alec Price winds up actually beating Matt Tremont for the real IWTV championship. So Tremont is now like aligned with Cruel. Cruel had never lost the title, and Price is the real champion. So good luck following all of that. H2O though, great company. Matt Tremont, well, yeah, of course, Matt Tremont is heavily involved there, but they got a lot of great talent that's come out of there that we kind of see all over the place. Like Marcus Mathers is obviously a big name out of there. Tremont, of course, doing a lot there. Austin Luke is a name that like he like made his name there, and he's gonna like blow up a lot more sometime in the near future. Dylan McKay like teamed with Marcus a lot, and the team they wrestled each other on this show, but they generally will team with one another. Yeah, dude, it was badass that the main event was Alec Price and Matt Mikowski, and it's great to see what Alec Price is doing with the IWTV Championship. But yeah, like Beyond Wrestling did Uncharted Territory years back. That's when I started following the show and like covering it weekly on the Weekender. And then it moved over to was it Action Wrestling?
Yeah, I think
no. It was Beyond. Well, it was Southeast First is what they called it. So it was, but they did it out of the TWE Arena, I believe, in Chattanooga. That is where they did it. But it was basically like an Action Wrestling TWE SCI kind of like group that did Uncharted Territory in the Southeast, and now they're doing it this season with H2O. So I like that they like move territories around and stuff, and it also helps highlight people from these areas because like this. Like H2O is out of like New Jersey. So like you're going to get a lot of that talent. They'll mix in talent from all over, but it wasn't like they had Southeast. It was like, a lot of, like Adam Priest and guys that we would see in like New South and Jaden Newman and those kind of guys and stuff. So you're going to get like a new mix of talent this season too. And a lot of more heavily focused on people kind of like that New Jersey, New York type area as well. So check out Uncharted Territory. If you want to watch the show, or if you want to sign up for IWTV, you can use code Fight Talk. It doesn't get you a discount anymore, but it does let you know, it does let the platform know that I'm sending you over there. So if like you want to let them know, like, Jensen's recommending that I check this out, you can use my code over there and it lets them know that. But yeah, I'll be covering Uncharted Territory on the Weekender most weeks probably going forward as well. So if you want to know more about that'd be a good place to hear about it.
Yeah, Uncharted Territory has become, again, it's really like the staple independent weekly television show. And like we've talked about, we've been kind of following Uncharted Territory for a while now, since we've been doing this show, at least. It goes to different territories. It goes to different promotions. But yeah, if you just think independent wrestling is just a lot of, hey, cool dream match type of things, there are stories that go on these indie shows. Jensen does a great job of recapping that on this show, and then obviously the Weekender. But yeah, he just kind of gave you the history with Cruel and Matt Tremont and the IWTV World Heavyweight title that Alec Price currently holds and everything. But yeah, if you are looking to kind of discover some new people outside of the AEW, basically the big realm of things, I would say Uncharted Territory is a great place to start, because they're going to feature a lot of different talent over the year, and they're going to have stories with this talent as well.
Yes,
be like, hey, here's a cool wrestling match. They will try to get you invested into these matches as well.
And a lot of these stories carry over into like other indie shows that you can find on the platform. So like if you like what you see on Uncharted Territory, like a good example, I just brought up Adam Priest, who was more or less kind of like one of the main, if not the main star of Uncharted Territory Southeast First for the last season. He was on episode 1 of this, defending the Action Wrestling Championship against Lucky 13, like on this show. So like there's already like crossover right there. But then when you think about that, you're like, okay, maybe you're seeing Uncharted Territory for the first time, this H2O version of it, and you see Adam Priest for the first time defending the Action Wrestling Championship. You go, what's Action Wrestling? You go to IWTV and the entire Action Wrestling catalog is right there. Now you have the opportunity to learn about all these new people that you maybe didn't know about before. You look at all the ETU keys to these championship. Marcus Mathers defending that title on there. You can check out more about ETU. Expect the Unexpected. That's what that stands for. There's a company called Expect the Unexpected Wrestling. If you like what you're seeing out of H2O, they have H2O exclusive shows that you can watch on IWTV. If you like what you saw on Alec Price as the IWTV champion, he's a traveling champion. He's on so many shows a week on IWTV. And when he's not on IWTV, he's probably over on Fight Plus defending or wrestling over on like GCW and stuff. So like, this is like you were saying, it's a great hub. Even like for Matt Mikowski, maybe you didn't know much about Matt Mikowski. He's coming back off of injury, and this might have been one of the first times you've seen him. Maybe now you've seen him wrestle, and maybe you want to go check out our interview we recently did with him on the Spotlight. You get to learn way more about him, you know? So same with a lot of these guys. Adam Priest has been on our show. You can learn more about him. I've interviewed Jimmy Lloyd over on Fightful Select. I mean, there's, you know, this is Braden Toon, someone will eventually get. I was actually just talking about Braden Toon with somebody at GCW. I ran into a bunch of the TWE guys there, and Braden Toon's a New South guy, and they're all connected. You know, it's like, so anyways, check it out. Uncharted Territory, episode 1, IWTV, use code Fight Talk.
And then in the other part of the world of independent wrestling, you were at GCW this past week, Jensen, down there at Atlanta. How was the show? How was the live experience?
Do you care if I cuss or not? We've been pretty good about not doing that. I'll hold off. We'll keep it somewhat family friendly. I had an effing awesome time at at GCW in Atlanta. I'm actually rewatching the show on the screen right now to my right here over on Fight Plus. I'm not endorsed by Fight Plus, by the way. I try to make that clear. Not unlike IWTV, I'm not like sponsored by them, so I don't want people thinking I have like a vested interest of people going and signing up for Fight Plus. But as a fan, I honestly think that like you're really missing out. I mean, I'm grandfathered in at the $5 a month because I got in when it started. It's still only like $8 a month or something. The value you get out of that's insane. Even for just GCW shows alone are worth that. So anyway, being there live at Center Stage in Atlanta, I want to give a massive thank you to GCW as always for like just like the level of accessibility that I always have at these shows. I had an amazing seat. I got to meet up with people that I hadn't got to see in person in a while. I was sitting basically for people who want to check the show out. Excuse me. I'm sitting right next to the entrance ramp. I'm to the left of Brett Lauderdale, who runs the company. He's sitting there during the show on a walkie-talkie, you know, calling the show. I even got some pretty funny videos of him doing the countdowns, like the 5, 4, 3, 2, because the whole crowd does it with him and points at Emil, like when they're going back from break and stuff. But like, I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'll do some name dropping. So like, it was great to hang out with Mose. Got an interview with him. That's available over on FightfulSelect.com. You know, y'all seen Mose and heard Mose plenty of times here on the Spotlight, but it was great seeing him. Gave him a big hug after Violence is Forever won the GCW Tag Team Championships. Yeah, there's a video. Plain and Simple Geek says in the chat. There's a video I've got. It's on I took a lot of videos and pictures and put them on my X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. But I got a great video of Steph Delander calling me a bitch. It was a good one. Like she was kicking Jimmy Lloyd right in front of me, and I was getting the video right up on top of him, and like, yeah, take a picture of that, bitch. this is great. I gave her on the show. You can see me give her a thumbs up on camera while she's saying it to me while I'm recording it. I got to say hi and shake hands, say what's up to like Scott Hensley was there, who runs the SCI. He's big at like the Southeast with Action Wrestling and a whole bunch of stuff, TWE. And now also ICW NHB, they're running a lot of shows out of the TWE arena too. Ben was there, Boston Nuga. If y'all know Boston Nuga on Twitter, big time wrestling fan. It was great to see Ben. I hadn't seen him in person in years, since like before the pandemic. Used to see him all the time at shows in like Nashville and stuff. Got to see Adam, who is known as a Blunty McFly on Twitter. Hadn't seen him since Nashville also. A lot of people from Nashville that I know from like that crew came in because they wanted to see VIF challenge for the tag titles and want to see Tank challenge for the world title. So a lot of that squad was there. I saw AC Mack, said what's up to AC Mack, asked him how his retirement's going, said he's loving his retirement. He was there, of course, supporting everybody, but of course, especially supporting supporting Rico Gonzalez, who had a match at the beginning of the show. So, yeah, I got to see a lot of people, man. I know I'm missing people. I interviewed Gringo Loco. So that'll be available on Fightful Select at some point too. Man. So, and as far as the actual show goes, without like I did really a full recap on the weekend, or if you want to hear like deep dive thoughts for like, a half hour or whatever on how I felt going to that show. But like personal highlights of it for me for sure would be Tank getting a shot against Blake Christian for the GCW championship, not only because he got a shot at the title, but because it was also him and the Rev. It was the first time that they've worked in center stage, and they've been wrestling and been a part of this scene for my entire lifetime. So it was really cool to see Tank and the Rev get that moment out there, even though Blake retained the title, but excuse me, it was really cool to see him get that shot in front of like his home people. And then, I mean, the major highlight for me obviously was Bounces Forever winning the GCW Tag Team Championships over Los Macisos. There's some good, you can catch me on video a few times marking out pretty hard. Like most of the show, I'm pretty like reserved, just kind of hanging out there taking videos. During that match, I'm like standing and clapping and yelling and cheering and like, and after the match, or after the show rather, I went up and said hey to Ku and Guarini, and they had blood dried all over their faces, and got a picture with those guys, and just I couldn't be happier for the two of them. I was fans of both of those guys back when like Dominic Guarini was the Southern Underground Pro Bone Storm champion, and Kevin Ku was the Tri-State champion, and they weren't even tag team wrestlers, and now they're the best tag team on the indies, in my opinion. And the GCW titles were the big titles that really eluded them this whole time. They had won the IWTV titles when they finally made them. They've been the Action champions and the BLP champions and the Glory Pro. I mean, just everywhere they've been the tag team champions everywhere. And they were supposed to pull the curtain back a little bit for, I'll just say it because enough time I feel like has passed. They were supposed to win the MLW Tag Team Championships, and that never happened. I have that straight up on. I know for a fact that was supposed to happen, and it didn't. So the GCW Championships were kind of like the main titles outside of course, like Ring of Honor, AEW, WWE that have eluded them. And now, not only did they win the titles, they beat Los Macisos, who are the former 4-time GCW tag champions, probably the best and most decorated tag team in GCW history. And they won the titles by hitting them with the Chasing the Dragon, where Q wrapped his leg up with a chain and kicked Cyclope while Guarini did the brain buster through a pane of glass. So it was like just an awesome finish and super emotional too. The plan, by the way, y'all, I hate bringing it up before it happens. The plan is to have Bounces Forever on for you guys soon together. We've interviewed Ku and Guarini separately before, but we are hoping to have them on together very soon. And one of the things I want to talk to them about is after the match, the camera went up on them individually at points, and they both said something to the camera separately. The first thing I noticed was Kevin Ku. He's bleeding. I'm right behind Q going crazy. And you see Q just turn to the camera and there's blood dripping down his face. And he just says forever and just walks out of the ramp. And then you see Guarini grab a camera guy and he says, rest in peace, Sean. This is for you, buddy. And he's referring to SPO3, Sean Patrick O'Brien, the referee that passed away recently. We had Mose come on and talk about him after the passing, a guy who meant a lot to a lot of people. So really emotional night and win for VIF. And for me as a wrestling fan, dude, that's feeding my soul. Going to these kind of shows, it's totally different. I love going to AEW events. I love getting a box seat to see Cody at WWE. I love going to high school gyms and bars and places and checking out wrestling. But there's nothing quite like what they're doing at center stage in GCW right now. I absolutely love it. So thank you to Brett Lauderdale. Thank you to Game Changer Wrestling. Thank you to the talent. And I had so many wrestlers. I told you privately, but there were so many people that came up to me during that show that were like, what you guys are doing for us, like getting the interviews out there and putting us on the Fightful platforms and getting, articles up for us and stuff. Like, it means the world to some of these guys and girls and non-binary wrestlers, and we don't discriminate here on the spotlight. Like I had people of all backgrounds telling me that they're really appreciating what we're doing with this show and with these interviews and stuff. So like, it was as a fan, it was super fulfilling being there. As someone who's a part of this space, it was really fulfilling knowing that we're doing something right. And it was also great seeing friends. Also, Turbo Chubbs, Ryan, my good buddy Ryan was at the show too. I mean, so a lot of good people and also thank you to Sean Ross Sapp. I got to thank him because he's also obviously my link to helping even get an in with a lot of I have my own separate ends with all the talent at this point. You know, I book most of the people we interview, either me or you book that. But I also got to give Sean Ross Sapp a lot of credit for like helping me get any kind of relationship with GCW, where they've been so cool to me every time they come in, to where I have access to the talent, great seats, and all that stuff. So like that doesn't go unnoticed for me. I very much appreciate everything that we do here at Fightful, and I don't know. I weekends like what I had with GCW make me like just super happy to be a part of Fightful, and just super happy to like be a part of like the independent wrestling scene, like in whatever way I can be. So it was an awesome experience.
Glad you had a great time, Jensen. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
You recapping that for everybody. Now get Steph DeLander on the show after she called you a bitch. I feel like she knows this one.
Yeah, I think I tweeted. I think she's down. Yeah, she seems pretty down. I wonder if we could get her on the show.
I feel like we can.
I feel like it's possible. I don't have that kind of relationship with Cardona, but I know Sean does. So maybe we can make something happen. I don't know Steph at all personally. But some of these guys, it's great. Like, you know, I went up and said, "What's up to Gringo Loco?" Just like to say, like, thanks for coming on our show before. And next thing I know, like, I'm interviewing the guy again right there on the spot. You know what I mean? Like, it's really cool that these people like even want to take the time to, you know, especially nowadays. This is a separate tangent. No, you got to run the interview because you're going to be here forever this afternoon. But like, I know there's a lot of stuff out there too. Recently, there's been a lot of talk in the wrestling space, in the independent wrestling space, especially about charging for interviews. I've seen a lot of this recently. There's some wrestlers that do it. There's some wrestlers that don't. And a lot of the times it's going to depend on the platform that's inviting them. I get that. Somewhere at Fightful, I have the advantage of like most of the time people are going to be, it's mutually beneficial, right? Because like we can get them on a good platform and we get a good interview, kind of everybody wins. But I just want to throw that out there too. If you're a newer interviewer, because I'm just seeing a lot of this recently, I'm just going to say it. I wouldn't pay for interviews if I were y'all. Find people who are willing to do free interviews for you if you're a small creator, but also have realistic expectations. If you don't have a lot of people listening to your show, or you're brand new, or you're rude to people, don't feel entitled that people have to come onto your show too. And don't call people out for not coming on your show. Don't say, hey, somebody didn't do my show because they wanted money. That's a bad move as well. I think it's a way. And if you're a wrestler, I think you're okay to ask for money. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I think there's this balance to it. And I've just seen a lot of that chatter recently. I just want to put my 2 cents in. When I was doing my own stuff independently, there's no way I could have ever afforded to pay someone for an interview to begin with. But I got way more no's and way more complete ignores than yeses. Way more. Like for every 20 people I ask, someone might say yes. You know what I mean? So if you're a newer content creator or interviewer, do not go on social media and say, hey, so-and-so said they wanted to charge. Hey, me and you, well, I won't say the names. We recently had somebody ask for a lot of money to do an interview with us. And I told you who that was privately.
Oh, I think I remember.
And I'll never say that person's name publicly. You know what I mean? But it's like, it happened.
I don't remember who it was, so I couldn't say.
I'll tell you all. It was someone they wanted $200 from us to do an interview. And I was like,
I don't remember this at all.
I was like, not only have we never paid for an interview, I definitely wouldn't pay that.
That's amazing. I respect that was the ask.
Hey, I've had, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I just want to throw that out there too. I've just seen a lot of people talking about that lately, and I see both sides of it. But yeah, but also just be humble and know your place too. Like if you're got a new podcast, don't be calling wrestlers out that don't want to do your show. Don't be doing that. But if you're a wrestler too, also don't be rude either. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, in most scenarios, the wrestler is going to be helping you a lot more than you're helping them. In most scenarios,
I find that, you know, we do a lot of interviews on this show. Joel and I do a lot of interviews on our show. I find anytime I reach out to anybody, I either don't get a response, which is fine. Everybody's busy. I understand that. The timing might not work. Again, understand that. Mm-hmm. Or they're very responsive and they're like, yeah, I would love to do it. And which is great. And then a lot of times I always send anybody that comes on our shows I always send them a message of like, hey, appreciate you being on the show. And they're always very like, kind back. When we record these interviews with all these wrestlers, we chat for a couple minutes afterwards. And
Yes,
we've always had positive experience with everybody. So yeah, if you do have a negative experience, unless it becomes public, like don't make it public. It doesn't serve anything. Like it's honestly nonsense. Like just let it go. Again, it's all dumb.
but I also want to throw this out there for any independent wrestlers listening to this, because I want to be realistic about this too. If I find out privately or publicly that you're trying to charge out the wazoo for people that I know that are trying to get you for interviews, and you're trying to do that to them, there's been people I haven't reached out to for interviews before that I don't think would charge us, that I think would do our show for free, that I'm positive would do our show for free, but I don't ask them because I'm like, I don't want to get turned down or being told that that I owe you something. So just keep that in mind too. If you're a wrestler who's notoriously known for charging a lot of money to do independent wrestling interviews, that's probably the reason I haven't reached out to you to do an interview. So
I don't know anything about that. I don't know who charges, who doesn't. Like I just try to get people on these shows. I have no idea who.
Dude,
I don't.
99.9% of the time, it's a quick message. It's a message back, and everybody's happy with everything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. 99.9% of the time. Every now and then I run into something where it's like they want a whole. The person that I won't say their name. The person I'm talking about, they wanted, just to pull the curtain back to tell you a little about what I deal with every now and then. They wanted $200. And they wanted a pre-written list of all the questions sent to a manager before we did the interview.
I legitimately don't remember that. Can you put it in the private chat?
Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to put it. Yeah, I'll put it in the private chat.
Okay. I legitimately don't remember who this was. Okay, that's amazing. I respect that ask. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the timing was like, really, now you're gonna like, I get you're trying to. You got the momentum right now, but like that's not going to last. And you're going to regret asking this when we come back later, when the name isn't as big. Anyway,
it's fine. I do remember that now. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That was the terms: $200 cash and and a pre-written list of questions.
I would like, that's crazy. They could just say no. Yeah. Like if you don't want to do the interview, like don't do it. We're not going to be offended by it.
And it was somebody who, pull the curtain back more. It was somebody who was willing to do a free interview about a year earlier that we didn't follow. Well, it wasn't our fault that it was their fault that fell through. But it was someone who wasn't charging previously, but then just caught a little momentum recently, and now all of a sudden is.
Oh, you're gonna get people really.
When I've seen people booking them recently too, and I'm like, I know what they're charging. Yeah, that's nuts.
Really, we're wondering things here. That you're gonna get people like really speculating on who it can be.
There's literally no way anyone would guess this, and even if you did, I wouldn't confirm who it was either. But I've seen them doing some like much smaller shows recently, and I'm like, I know what they had to have paid for that, and they're getting like.
Don't give away too many clues. People will white rabbit this thing. I completely forgot about that. Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, everybody, let's get to this interview with Malcolm, who charged us $100 to do it.
We had to pay a lot to get Malcolm. Now, everything I just said, we had to pay a lot to get Malcolm on the show. And before we wrap this up, I just want to say the main reason I brought all this up is because when I go to a show like GCW, for instance, it's the exact opposite type of vibe. It's a bunch of people who are grateful that like there's people out there that want to help promote them. Any other independent show I go to, whether I go to Battle Slam, I'm going to get to action shows soon and stuff. It's a totally different vibe. So it's like, I want people to know also that if you're trying to get into wrestling, podcasting and stuff, to not be afraid, because most people are going to be grateful that you're asking, and they're not going to ask for extra stuff. But when it happens, it's just kind of jarring where we're like, what? So anyways.
Yeah. Malcolm charged us $100 to do this interview, so we gladly made that contribution to Malcolm. Yes. Malcolm, what is just happening in my headphones? Oh my gosh, I got some terrible feedback. This sounds awful. Malcolm was the first ever guest on this show. I was a big fan of his work back when we started this show. Still a big fan of his work, but the point of this show was to highlight creators like Malcolm, and then it became to highlight independent wrestlers and just wrestlers in general with interviews. But Malcolm was someone who I was a big fan of. I was like, you know what? I want to interview this person. I want to see what they're all about. Fantastic interview guest last time. And now returning, he's accomplished so much more since you last saw him on this channel. So great to have Malcolm on the show for this interview. We talk a lot about, he teases getting in the ring, a lot of teases there, teases who he can beat up in the world of wrestling, shoots on a lot of friends, a lot of pals, and nobody likes anybody in this game. Malcolm's great. We're going to throw it now in the creators spotlight. MuscleManMalcolm. Welcome everyone to the creators spotlight. I'm Jeremy Lambert still. That's still Stephen Jensen. And below us, a name you know, a name you recognize, the first ever person who we interviewed in the creator spotlight on this show. He is back over a year later. You know him from YouTube, the host of Muscle Memory. He is a world champion powerlifter. He might be wrestling. I don't know. He keeps teasing stuff about wrestling. World famous interviewer. I'm just going to say it. MuscleManMalcolm with the beautiful, beautiful hat. How you doing, man?
Thank you. The best wrestling interviewer of all time, MuscleManMalcolm. I'll let you go ahead and you can say that if you want, but I can say it for myself as well. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Meet us. Come on now.
I've already met you guys.
Well, yeah, we hung out in person multiple times. We talked about meeting us. Yeah. Actually today, especially because of the way the setup is, Jeremy, Malcolm's in the middle.
Original.
Oh my gosh.
That joke.
I'm gonna just kick you. Nope. There, Jensen's not even on the show anymore.
I was about to say, I actually have the power to add and remove myself right now, so I actually could. But yeah, I had to get that one in like super fast. Malcolm in the middle, big mouth.
We got it, Jensen.
Yeah. Anyways, shout out Frankie Muniz. All right, Frankie Muniz. Malcolm, how you been, man? How you been since the last time we interviewed you, dude? It's been a long time. You're our first guest ever. That was like probably what, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that.
It had to be about it's been about 2 years. The last time you guys talked to me, I was still in undergrad. I took a year off in between. Now I'm in grad school, so I'm back in another empty apartment, chilling, talking wrestling with the boys. Life is good.
Let's ask the hard hitting questions right off the bat. The hats, Malcolm. We love the hats. We know that the hat, the famous one, stolen, correct?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately stolen while I was sleeping in a Charlotte International Airport. I was sleeping and someone just took my hat. I'm like, all the stuff I had on me, all the camera gear, all the laptops, and you take the hat.
I mean, it's the most valuable thing. Who cares about the...
Clearly, I mean, it's all my power was in that hat, so I had to go buy 2 more. So, it's like...
They don't know how to run a camera. They know how to wear a hat. They might not look good in it, but like, they know
they know how to rock it correctly, though. So
yeah.
I hope whoever took it, they're suffering slowly. So
do I. That happened in Charlotte from North Carolina. That makes me sad that, North Carolina natives just let me down like that, taking the hat.
Yeah,
like
disgusting
yeah,
state.
What's your favorite kind of hat, Malcolm?
My favorite kind of hat. This one.
Is that one?
This one, yeah.
Do you have a name for your hats?
I think I should name it. I can't think of a name on the spot. Brock.
Brock. All right. You can always go well with Brock. By the way, I'm doing this hat bit. Legitimately, when you interviewed Jake Hager and got his opinion on hats, like I turned that whole thing into an article because it popped me so much of just Jake Hager reviewing hats. It was hilarious to me.
I've been meaning to clip that too. I remember doing that with him. I was like, I should make this a clip, and I just forgot to. So I'm glad you said that because I'm gonna go edit that as soon as we're done doing this interview. So
it was hilarious to me. Anything like that, like easy, quick little thing. He does these quick reviews of everything. Oh, it was so good. Like that was a tremendous bit. So let's actually get into like interviewing stuff. And now some of these interviews, these shorter interviews that you do, what is your mindset when you go into when you only know, like at the conventions and stuff, you only got a couple minutes with a guy, you can't like press on too much stuff. Like what's kind of your mindset when you only know you got like 3-4 minutes with a guy?
I think when I interview people, I think what is a good clip, because I know as a smaller creator, that's what's going to get the most views and the most exposure are those clips that go on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. So I kind of ask a lot of questions that I know I can go back and break down into just clips. So I'm like, let me just talk about the most popular thing that you've done. I'm gonna clip that, and I'm gonna ask another popular thing you did. I'm gonna clip that, and so for like 5 more questions, and then I just get a bunch of content out of it. So that's kind of where my mindset is right now. And as I start to grow more and build up like a stronger audience, then it'll be more conversational based, and I'll have more time to really sit down and talk to these guys for your 40 minutes to an hour and whatnot. But until then, we're more focused on the clips right now, getting the views out, building the name so people know who I am when I walk down the street. Everyone already knows who I am because I'm famous as hell. But more people can know me by then.
How has that been working for you? Like as far as because I've seen the growth that you've had over the last couple of years, especially, and TikTok is the one thing that I just am not tapped into at all. Like I'm really tapped into like YouTube and certain like stuff going on in like the internet culture, but nothing as far as TikTok. But I know it can be something that's super, super useful. And I know that you're somebody who's been doing really well with it. So if you could kind of just speak a little bit more to like maybe TikTok and shorts, like even more specifically, like the importance of that a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm like a really big fan of like comedians. So where I got my idea of like making a lot of clips out of like my interviews really comes from like watching a lot of comedians, Matt Rife and Andrew Schultz, like my 2 favorite right now. And I found out about them mainly through like TikTok and Instagram Reels. And that really just came from clips and then going back and watching all their like full like comedy shows and whatnot. I'm really about to buy Andrew Schultz tickets probably tomorrow morning because he's going to be in Madison Square Garden. I don't know why I'm promoting him, but I like him, so I want to. Like seeing like how they clip their stuff and how big of an audience that it reaches, like that to me, that's the best way I can do it, because someone that like wants to follow me and know me, they don't have 20 minutes to try to figure out how I interview someone, but they have like 30 seconds to figure out if I can ask a good question or not. So that's kind of like my mindset towards it. Obviously, there's other big wrestling media personalities that also do clips as well. Denise, Chris Van Vliet, etc. So just seeing like the growth they've had as well, doing clips and just trying to shorter content, as well as the stuff they're doing as like with their long form interviews. It's a formula that works. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm just gonna keep on working it.
For sure. And speaking of clips and kind of the benefit, and it can also be a detriment depending on what the clip is. Things can go viral. I know you're a big fan of the National Wrestling Alliance. We talked about that before. There's a clip that went super viral recently, caused some controversy. There was cocaine usage on the show. We talked about that, me and Jeremy, past week. How do you feel about them doing that as like a big fan of the National Wrestling Alliance? And I guess just what's your thoughts on that? Because like it caused more people are talking about the NWA right now than kind of they have been recently, for good or for better or for worse.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't get a chance to watch the pay-per-view, so I knew the results of the show. I was like, oh, that must have been great. I tried to tap in really closely to like the Colby Carino and Joe Alonso match. Big fan of those two guys. So I didn't see that spot that you're talking about that happened. So I just randomly saw an article on Fightful, and they talked about what substance was used during the spot. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe not the greatest decision in the world to do that, especially with impending possible rumored TV deals. But I'm not in charge, so that's none of my business. I saw it as, did I laugh at it? Was I entertained? Yeah. But is that a great move? We will see.
That's fair. That's a good answer.
It doesn't feel like it was a great move based on kind of information that came out today and the TV deals that were signed today. Do you edit and clip all your own stuff, Malcolm?
So right now I started to work with the editor just because like I'm super busy. But I mean, in general though, like about 90% of what you see that I upload comes from me. The last 10%, I have someone work on it with me as well. The stuff I feel like is like with bigger stars, I feel like can really do numbers on numbers. That's why I try to send it to my guy who's like super talented at editing. And like, so I had like a Jacob Fatu interview recently. I'm like, okay, I know anytime I interview a Fatu or Samoan, it will always get views. So I'm like, look, here, you take it, clip it, do whatever you need to do, make it look pretty. And it usually goes well. So I just started working with someone, very happy with the work he's doing. And looking to expand that team a little bit more going down the future, as long as I keep raking in all the big money that I keep getting sent by the internet.
What do you make overall? You're younger than we are, but we grew up in an age where the digital stuff wasn't quite as prevalent. Like it came along, but it certainly wasn't all YouTube Shorts, TikToks, Instagram Reels, things like that. Like I'm very like, I understand that YouTube Shorts is like the way of the future, or really the present. And I'm very hard headed of like, nah, people are just gonna watch this like 20-minute interview. And for the most part, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Like, I do think clips are the way to go. But like, growing up in this generation, what is your overall impression of it? And like, do you kind of understand like where it all came from and how it all started compared to where it was?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the whole like idea of clips and stuff just comes from like Vine. I mean, I feel like that's like the originator for me in my mind, because I mean, Vine kind of created Musically kind of created TikTok kind of created Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels if you use that. So I feel like that's kind of where it came from. My mindset was I never wanted to do clips as well. Like, I thought it was just like pointless and dumb. I'm like, they'll just watch the interview. Like, you'll see if you watch it. But I also realized if I want to grow quicker, that's the goal. That's the goal of this whole social media game, is to grow and obviously let your audience be entertained. So, you know, I kind of just realized, I'm like, this is what works. If I'm not doing it, I'm gonna get left behind. So I just started doing it. I also know streaming is a really big thing right now, like Kick and Rumble and Twitch. Like, people that are on those platforms right now are doing very well. I don't understand streaming at all, so I'm kind of like slowly trying to wrap my head around that before I just jump on a camera and start talking. But that's definitely something I'm looking forward to doing, maybe into next year, as soon as I like have a full grasp of how that really works. But yeah, I mean, I feel like you just gotta just know what the trends are on the internet, and you gotta follow them. And if you don't, then you fall off. That's on you, fam.
Dude, yeah, I mean, there's more opportunity than ever when it comes to all the different platforms. Like, what Kick's doing right now is incredibly interesting. The money that they're throwing around and the people that they're getting is, yeah, it's definitely something for people to keep their eyes on. As far as like, you know, you mentioned Vine, kind of like Small World. I actually I resisted my urge to double dab just then, because it made me think of Logan Paul, someone who became very famous from Vine, who's now a United States champion. You're drinking prime. There you go. There's the Maverick right there, part of the Low Gang. How does it feel to see Logan Paul win the United States Championship, beating a legend in Rey Mysterio, nonetheless?
I mean, Rey Mysterio is a terrible father, so I mean, he kind of deserved it personally. But I mean, I think it's really cool. I mean, a lot of people have different opinions on Logan Paul. They're all very justified opinions, because he has his controversies as a YouTuber, as a social media creator. But I mean, I think the dude is so athletic, and so he just took to wrestling so easily. I mean, I don't think I've seen someone take to wrestling so like fast and a smooth transition than like maybe like a Kurt Angle or Ronda Rousey, honestly. Like, the level of like, and he's not even an Olympic athlete or like a, you know, former UFC women's champion or anything. So like, to see him just kind of come in and just learn wrestling as if like he's been doing it on the indies for 15 years, has been incredible to see. So it's one of those situations where like, you don't necessarily need to like him to just understand like this dude's money, and that's just the end of it. Like, you just have to know like what you're seeing is money, and what you're seeing is probably a future world champion and probably a future Hall of Famer. So you might as well just jump on the train, bro, because he's going to be here for a while, and I'm liking it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of what he's doing, for sure. I think he definitely deserves credit. But I mean, he has controversies. A lot of these guys do, for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, who else from like that space do you think may get involved or should get involved? Like, do you think like KSI like may get more involved in wrestling, especially since Logan's done so well at it, and like they're so famous together as a team? And like, who else do you think from that world maybe might cross over?
Yeah, I mean, KSI was definitely the first name I was thinking about, because I mean, he obviously did a spot at WrestleMania with Logan. He mentioned to Kathy Kelly that he would wrestle Bobby Lashley, which I was like, oh, that's random. Okay, cool. I think now, because like he just came off that loss or draw or robbery, depending on how you see it, with Tommy Fury, that he's taking some time away from boxing currently. So maybe there's an opportunity for him to jump into Rumble. That's kind of my prediction, at least. I wouldn't put it past WWE to bring in Jake Paul at some point. That's literally Logan's brother, and he's a massive star. Whether you like him or hate him, he's just a massive star. I personally think those are the three guys that actually can come over to like a WWE or an AEW like level company and actually make like a real impact. I feel like every other YouTuber or big content creator I can think of just doesn't look like a professional wrestler. Half of them barely look like professional boxers. But like, I don't think most of them would look, right as a pro wrestler. I mean, you just got to think about like Mr. Beast in WWE would not be cool.
Well, I think he would be massive for the brand though, because so many kids love WWE and like Mr. Beast is so massive. I was actually going to ask you. This is good that you brought this up. So, are you familiar at all with what's going on with the Moist Wrestling League with Moist Critical?
Oh yeah. He trained with Alina recently.
Yeah. So they had like Warhorse was like a part of it and stuff. Like he's actually got some like people in there, and he did a video with Malachi Black came in and like trained those guys and stuff. So like Moist Critical, aka Penguin Zero, Charlie, like, he's got a bunch of aliases online. How do you feel about because like this dude, he's running, for people who might not know, he started his own wrestling league recently. They're running like shows on they're running on YouTube, and he has such a massive YouTube channel. They're like he has like 10 million plus like YouTube subscribers, and then a ton of Twitch subscribers as well, and so on and so forth. Massive personality. So they're getting like way more views than like your average like wrestling company would, just because it's on his channel and he just started doing this. And like no one's really talking about it in our space yet. And I'm over here kind of in the corner like, yo, like this is kind of a big deal going on over here. Like no one really, but so I just kind of put that on your radar if maybe you didn't know about it, and like kind of let you know that there are people getting in the wrestling space right now that are just massive YouTubers, similar to boxing, that just have big followings and are like getting in this space now, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I actually did not even know about that. Like, I'm a big fan of him. He has too many names to go by, but yeah, my best friend's like a big fan of him. So like, he showed me him like last year or 2 years ago. I did not. I knew he's like interested in wrestling on some level, but I didn't realize he had like a league going. So yeah, I'm gonna look into that. That's dope.
Yeah, just his own little promotion. Y'all should check it out. I commented on like a post like maybe like a year ago. He was like talking about like, hey, I might start a wrestling league, and I was like, dude, I got an interview for Fightful, and I never heard back. But there was all these comments under it that were like vouch. There's like all these people that were like, dude, get the interview, and I was like, if I ever hear back from this guy, I absolutely will. So it's blowing up even more in on the internet. Maybe
where's it based?
Dude, I'm honestly not sure. I think I believe he lives in like Tampa, Florida.
Okay.
So I think that they probably run out of there, but he also like he owns like his own esports league, Moist Esports, and like he's just such like this massive brand. He's this guy who just sits around in a white t-shirt and just talks about internet culture.
He's jacked too. Like he got muscles. Like he's big.
He's like little, but like he's like fit. It's like it's hard to explain. Yeah. So. But yeah, anyway, Jeremy has no idea what we're talking about.
No.
Now.
So here's the thing. I actually do know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
I've heard of this Moist Wrestling. Like I got sent this a while ago of like, you should check this out. This is this new wrestling. And I just kind of dismissed it because I didn't really understand what it actually was, how big I guess it actually is. But no, I've actually heard of this. So I know a little bit about it. I can't say I know as much as you, Jensen, but I have heard a little bit about
fascinating.
it. Speaking of clips, Malcolm, if you want a clip this, get it on TikTok, and we'll get some attention to you and to Moist Wrestling. Maybe you can do some stuff with that league on YouTube. That'd be sick.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna clip this for sure. I got you.
There we go. Okay. Powers combined.
Let me get things back away from Moist Wrestling here, but still in the same space here. A league that is done very well for themselves, that kind of was created based on internet buzz. DPW. You've been a regular at their shows, Malcolm. Like, what is the vibe there, and what's it been like working a little hand in hand with DPW?
Yeah, so I was there during like the earlier years of DPW. I did some backstage interviewing. The guys over there are always great. I mean, like I felt like I was always treated super well over there. I haven't really been there in like a few, like a year or so, but I feel like DPW, honestly, in my opinion, is like the hottest independent promotion in the world. They just actually curate stars that really do get signed. I mean, we're seeing it now. Jay Malachi, Lucky Ali, amazing talents. Very happy for them, especially Lucky Ali. He's from my like area as well in DC. I mean, like they really make stars. Like the people that go to those shows are like the most dedicated wrestling fans you will ever see, and that's coming from a world GCW that we live in. DPW fans are built different. And like they really understand wrestling. The people that run it understand wrestling. They understand media and how it works. And that's why DPW is such a big success. So like nothing but credit to them. They're doing great. They haven't had a miss yet, and I don't think they're going to miss anytime soon. So shout out DPW.
Sorry, Jim. Well, there was another company I wanted to ask you about, but Jim, do you have a follow-up about DPW?
No, go ahead.
I was watching MLW recently, and I saw Alex Kane come out to the ring, Boom Fight Club. I was like, wait a second, is that Malcolm? How'd that happen?
Alex Kane. He asked me, and I was like, sure, yes, plus. Yeah, no, Alex Kane is a great dude. I mean, I'm so happy that he became world champion. I've interviewed this guy maybe 4 or 5 times now, and like it's always one of my favorite people to talk to. Like I feel like the interviews with him are always like the vibes are always there. He's a great wrestler. He's a great person. So I mean, it's great to see him as world champion. Him like give back to me. Just have that little opportunity, which meant the world to me as well. You might see me pull up at Fightland as well, November 18th, Fight TV. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Alex Kane, he's a great guy. I'm just super happy that he's a world champion. He's getting that recognition that he actually deserves as like a real force in wrestling. So shout out him, man. I mean, he got Fatu coming up. Then he probably has Cardona if he defeats Fatu. I mean, he's a busy schedule coming up, and I'm just happy to be part of like this little part of his match, a little part of his career. But yeah, it was really dope. I was very nervous walking out there. I didn't realize I get nervous at things. I'm actually a pretty calm, confident person most of the time, and also really attractive and great looking. But like for some reason, I got really nervous, and I was like, "Wow!" The minute I walked out there, I was like, "This is dope," but I'm scared. But this is really dope. It was like the weirdest feeling in the world, and I want to experience it again. So, Fightland, nice to meet you. My name is MuscleManMalcolm. Let's talk.
So I kind of have 2 follow-ups on that, 2 different directions on the follow-up. One being the nervousness, and you were on national broadcast, Good Day Fox, Good Day DC, right? And you know, you corrected the person. You're like, no, MuscleManMalcolm, strongest pro wrestling interview ever. Like, it doesn't feel like you get nervous, but just kind of walk me through that whole appearance and specifically, which is your pen tweet for people who don't know, specifically that moment where you were just like, I'm going to correct you. Like, you're going to get this right. And I'm going to make my presence felt on this show.
Yeah. I don't know where I got the balls to correct someone on national television from, honestly. I wanted to say sorry after, but I think she found it funny. So I was like, all right, I guess I don't need to, but I felt kind of bad almost saying it, but I was like, well, you only get one shot, so I might as well shoot it. Yeah, bro, I get nervous a lot. Like, I'm just a very quiet person when I'm not talking on camera. So like it was a very weird moment because like before I got on camera, I think they were like a little nervous that I like wasn't gonna speak up or talk because I was very quiet, just sitting backstage, kind of just hello to like 2 people and just kind of just sat there because I'm just a normal quiet person. And then like it all came out once the camera was rolling because that's just how my personality works. Yeah, man, it's a weird feeling because like I know myself and I know like I'm not a big talker in general, but then as soon as like a camera goes, I just can't like shut up. So I don't know why I'm like that, but I like it. It's a good vibe.
I like it. It is a good vibe.
All right, my other follow-up, again, completely different direction. We've talked about MLW. We've talked about appearances you've kind of made, whether it's an interviewer on screen. Talked about influencers, making transition to boxing and wrestling and all this stuff. So, you know, strongest YouTuber, strongest interviewer, best interviewer. We know you got the charisma, Malcolm. When's it happening? Last time you were on this show, you said you want to work with NWA. You want to be world's heavyweight champion. That's what you said on this show.
So I did say
When's
that.
it happening? When's the debut?
I don't know about the NWA World Champion part. I mean, I'll tell you all this, man. I mean, like, it would to have all this personality and great looks and great fashion sense and just overall charisma and great speaking ability and everything that a pro wrestler needs. I mean, it'd be a shame if I didn't grace that ring at least once. So I feel like that has to happen in 2024. It probably will happen in 2024, if we're being honest. I mean, like, for all you guys know, I could be going to wrestling training after this. I could have came from wrestling training. I could be in the gym right now. This could be a green screen. There could be wrestling going on behind me. You don't know. It's not a green screen.
Quiet if it is.
I have really good microphone, and that's why you don't hear anything. But I digress. I mean, I think it's gonna happen. You know, if anyone wants to step up, it's a real question. I think most of these wrestlers are scared of me. They like when I talk to them and ask them questions to make them feel good, but they don't want to wrestle me because like they don't want to step to me. I'm a CrossFitter now, all right? I'm on a different level. That means I think I'm better than everyone. So like I'm built different, okay?
Is that a thing in the CrossFit world? It does feel like CrossFit people put themselves on a pedestal.
I understand why they do, because like the amount of cardio and strength you need to even be like decent at that sport is crazy. I mean, I thought I was perfect already as a powerlifter. I've been humbled so much during CrossFit. I never ran so much in my life until like when I was like wrestling in high school, I ran a lot. But like this is like a level of like running and lifting at the same time that's just unneeded. And I don't know why we do it. It's supposed to be for functional strength. I don't feel functional. I just feel like I'm just tired all the time. But for some reason, it works. And I think that's going to transition over to the pro wrestling ring when I defeat a wrestler, a YouTuber, whoever wants to step up, get smacked up. It's going to work out in my favor.
Let me throw some names at you. You let me know if you're willing to step up to these guys. All right. Yep. So the first one I'm going to throw at you is another man who likes to wear a hat. Yeah. And that's Brian Keith.
My good friend Brian Keith. I mean, like, I love that guy, but I mean, I hate the Cowboys, and he's from Texas. So, yeah, I mean, he gets smacked for sure.
Oh, man.
Okay. All right. Let me throw another name. He's been on our show before. Let me throw two names at you. They were just GCW. They just won the GCW tag team titles. Mm-hmm. Dominic Guarini and Kevin Koo.
Yeah, I mean, I met them before. Great guys. They came to DPW. Met Kevin, great guy. I mean, just because I think you're great doesn't mean that I don't think I can like smack you. Like I think I can smack them. Do I think I would win? Not necessarily, but it doesn't matter about if you win or you lose. It's about the clips and the highlights. So like my personality, I personally think that I could smack them and I might get killed for it, but I can do it and try and lose, but it'll be a highlight.
I got two more for you. You mentioned highlights, you mentioned clips, you mentioned going viral and things like that. The most indie viral god out there, Matt Cardona.
Now I love Matt Cardona. I've interviewed him a lot, and he's a great guy. I will never have a bad word to say about him. I don't think I would win. He's a bit too jacked for my liking. I think I could stun him if I wore a John Cena shirt and I wore like an Eve Torres mask, and he'd be confused. And then I would smack him, and then he would beat me up, but I would smack him, and that's the part that matters because that's the clip. I cut out where he beats me up, and I just clip the part that works for me.
All right, last one. Dream match of all dream matches here, Malcolm. Omos.
I mean, I wouldn't smack my dad. I mean, that's crazy. I wouldn't you don't smack a king. You know, I mean, like if anything, I'd be his tag partner. Yeah, obviously. Like I know, I just wouldn't wrestle him. It's one of my many African American fathers in this, or just African. He's just African. Mark Henry, Big E, Bobby Lashley, Omos, all of them. Yeah.
Is Omos the top? Is he the top donor of that group?
No, that's Mark Henry for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like second.
Okay. Yeah. I love your love for Omos, baby. I mean, look, Homo sapien, stand up. You got
it. Right.
Yeah,
brother. Dude, yeah, I mean, if you're not Homo sapien, honestly, I don't think you're like living your life correctly. Like, there's a way to like wrestling, and it starts at the top. And that's 7'4" Nigerian giant Omos. And anything like you can like your Rollins and your Reigns and all that kind of stuff. But last time I checked, they're not 7 foot tall. They're short compared. So like if you want to like wrestling, you have to like larger than life. If you want larger than life, you have to like Omos. If you don't like Omos, you don't like larger than life. You don't like larger than life, you don't like wrestling. You don't like wrestling, you're a dork.
So. Dude, I agree with everything you just said. That line of thinking was incredibly accurate. I'm a big Homo sapien myself. I like the guy. I don't watch WWE super closely at the moment. What do they have him doing? Is he doing anything right now on the show? Omos?
Sad answer.
He's busy.
He's busy. Okay, he's too big for it. I get it. Like he's too big. See, and that's the only thing I was ever afraid of with them is they just wouldn't know how. Because he isn't just a big guy. He's a big guy who actually like can move pretty well and like does have a grasp on like what he's doing out there. Like it isn't like, you know, I don't want to name names, but in like in the NBA, like Sean Bradley was kind of the guy who everyone knew as like kind of the uncoordinated guy who was 7+ and like, you know, just. But Omos isn't that. Like, I think they have really something there in him, and people kind of like to like tongue-in-cheek roast him or whatever. But I don't get that, honestly. I like him.
Let's think about it like this: every WrestleMania match Omos has been against a world champion. He tagged with AJ and defeated Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods as well. And then the next year, Bobby Lashley, former world champion, and then Brock Lesnar. I'm just saying Omos has the best WrestleMania matches ever. You got your Hogan's and versus Rock, but then you have your Omos versus Bobby. And that's real wrestling when you think about it.
Yes. Yeah. I know you're bringing in powerlifting, and you said that Mark Henry is like the main like opponent, and just
his dad.
Yeah, right, of course.
Dad number one, yes.
Yeah.
It's just kind of interesting timing that, like, just the other day I was talking to somebody who's kind of like a non-wrestling fan, but Mark Henry came up in that conversation, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Mark Henry, badass." Like they knew Mark Henry. Like they didn't know a whole lot of wrestlers, but like Mark Henry was the guy that they were like, "Oh, he was badass. Like he was the strongest man." Like they remembered that. So and they'd even remembered seeing like some of his like clips from when he was doing lifting. I remember they used to show him like actually doing the lifting and stuff on the show, and he really left like a real lasting impression. So it'd be cool if you can kind of be one of those guys for the next generation, man. Kind of like get that Taurus patch to you.
Yeah, I mean, like me and Dad used to go to the gym a lot. He taught me how to bench. I mean, he taught me how to deadlift. He taught me how to squat. I mean, honestly, yeah, it'd be great to like carry his legacy. Malcolm Henry in the building. I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, there was who was it? There was somebody within like the last couple of years that was did like the Nation gear on NXT, and he got hurt, and I don't know what's happened to him since. You know, that's who I'm talking about.
Is it Odyssey Jones?
Odyssey, yeah. Is he around still? I haven't seen him in a while.
I think he's still signed, right?
I feel like he got drafted, and they just haven't. I think I actually watched him. I watched him face Cameron Grimes in a dark match on SmackDown earlier this year.
Because I felt like he had a lot of potential too.
I don't know what happened to him.
And Otis is a powerlifting guy also, isn't he? Like came from that world?
I think he was like a wrestling guy. He was an amateur
wrestler. Yeah. He looks like a powerlifter. He's like stocky, like a powerlifter. But yeah, he wrestling background. But yeah, anyway, this kind of came to mind. Those bigger dudes who like I feel like could still kind of break out and be something big. How do you feel about like who is it? Ivar right now is out on his own. Yeah, how's he doing? Yeah, I saw he had a pretty good match last night. I actually watched a little bit of Raw last night.
I think any guy that has like any meat on their bones is the best wrestler in the world. I mean, on Dynamite, we're getting Samoa Joe and Keith Lee. Keith Lee's another one of my dads. He's actually dad number 6. So I mean, like if you got meat on your bones, you're a great wrestler. If you're too skinny, I don't like you. But like you gotta be big. I need you to be 300 pounds plus. Then we could talk.
Speaking of AEW, when me and you. I think it was the last time I know I've seen you in person at least once, maybe 2 or at least maybe twice actually at shows in Atlanta. And one of the shows, Isaiah Cassidy performed on the event. What was that experience like getting to interview him? Because you had a pretty cool setup in there where you got like your whole little area and you did a video interview with him.
Yeah, I mean, they know when Malcolm comes in the building, they gotta treat me right. VIP. They put me in the VIP section. I mean, it was, used to it. No, he was very nice. I mean, I don't think I've had no interactions with wrestlers like doing interviews or whatnot. It's ever been negative. I mean, you could say that has to do with like just the wrestlers being great people, but I think it more has to do with just me being great, personally. Because I mean, like everyone gets upset about stuff, but no one gets upset at me. So I mean, I just think it has to do with me just being such a great and humble and kind person that I always have great experiences. I cannot name one wrestler, and if I could think of one, I also wouldn't tell you that I ever had a bad experience with. So life's good.
You could just bury Cardona. That just
he was very nice.
No, Cardona is fantastic. Everybody that comes on the show though, because like Cardona's personality, on-screen personality is his on-screen personality, right? Yeah. Like he's a dick. He's a heel. That's just who he is. So when we get wrestlers on here, they just ask them to bury Cardona, and then they'll shoot on the on-screen Cardona. When they talk about Cardona off screen, it's like he's the most helpful guy. He always tries to give you merch ideas. He tells you like, go sell this, go sell that, like get yourself over, how to get yourself over type of things. But yeah, Cardona.
Like I have nothing but great experiences with him. I mean, every time I talk to like Alex Kane, I always try to bring in a Cardona question because I know he'll go off on Cardona.
Yeah.
And then like I know I can tweet it and I know Cardona will probably respond to it.
Exactly.
More buzz. So like I always love Cardona. Like he's the easiest person to talk to, and also like I was such a massive fan of his when I was 11. Like Zack Ryder was like the guy for me. Like there was Zack Ryder and then there was John Cena. So like it's always like a pleasure to talk to him.
Exactly. Cardona knows the game, and the wrestlers who work with him know the game. But then you want to talk about the actual person. fantastic guy.
Great guy.
The handful of times that I've met him and talked to him. One person who's not a great guy, I'm gonna try to get you to bury this person. Literally like the nicest person on earth. I'm gonna try to get you to bury him. Chris Van Vliet. This dude sucks. Just terrible.
I got nothing.
I'm on screen here. I'm on screen here, like next to Jeremy as he's doing this. I don't want that to represent me. I like this.
I can't say anything bad about him. I mean, like he gives me so much time whenever I see him at these independent shows, and he'll go through like my channel and tell me what I need to fix. He'll compliment a lot of stuff. He'll criticize some stuff in a good way, in a positive feedback. That I always learn something talking to him. I feel like I could talk to him for 5 minutes, and I feel like I've learned like 30 minutes worth of information. Like, great dude, just wonderful guy. Just our new tag team name, me and Chris, is Chris Van Black Man.
Wait a second, hold on. Are you teaming? Because the last I saw, it was you were trying to do the Van Vliet against Malcolm agenda here. So I'm trying to push that, Malcolm. I'm trying to promote here.
Oh yeah, I mean, okay, Chris, if you're watching this, man, I mess you up. I mean, like we can do boxing, we can do ballet, whatever you want to be.
You said chess boxing. We're fans of chess boxing here.
I don't know how to play chess, but I will figure it out, and we can play checkers as well if you want to. I will mess you up and everything.
I will say, I assume people know I'm being facetious with all this stuff, but like Chris Van Vliet, literally like the nicest dude in the world, and that's why like Denise Salcedo is always just one of my good friends, and I try to get people to be mean to her because she's also a sweetheart. Van Vliet, when I met him, I was with Sean, and Sean said something like jokingly of like, "Oh yeah, you stole that from us," and Van Vliet's like, "Oh my God, did I? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry this happened." And then Sean's like, "No, I'm kidding, Chris." And he apologized for apologizing. Like he's the nicest dude in the world.
He's Canadian. That's why every Canadian is super nice.
I do a show. Canadian. I do a show with a Canadian 3 days a week. He's the worst person ever. So no, I don't think all Canadians are great. I don't quite agree with that.
I mean, Christian is also not a great.
Exactly. Exactly.
He talks about dads all the time, so he's crazy for that.
Fantastic heel.
Great heel.
He's like, no, Van Vliet's great. I just saw you guys had a little something going on. So I'm trying to push this stuff.
I'm willing to
know Van Vliet is great.
And hug them.
Oh, sorry.
I will fight and hug everyone.
Yes, there you go. People forget Van Vliet's trained. Like the two of y'all could legitimately go out there and wrestle. I like the idea of this.
Yeah, I mean, I would gladly wrestle him. I mean, it wouldn't be much of a wrestling match. It'd be more of like me just like punching his face a bunch. Until the point that he won't be able to do interviews anymore because I just keep punching his face, and he won't have that great looking face anymore, so he can't do those great interviews. And then since he won't be able to do those great interviews, who are they gonna watch? Me. So honestly, I don't even want to do a wrestling match with him. I don't want to do chess boxing. I want to do mixed martial arts.
Ooh.
And I would gladly punch him in the face, not because I think he's a bad person. He's incredibly nice. But like he's just a bit too good looking, and I need more people watching me.
Okay. Who's better looking, him or John Alba?
That's a good looking dude. I'm still gonna put Chris on top though. I mean, I think they're both some attractive looking gentlemen, but I mean, Chris Van Vliet is really that guy.
That's fair. Yeah. They get compared to each other a lot.
They do.
Alba's gonna be so mad when he hears this. By the way,
great because like they both got great hair. You know,
yeah, it stays still.
Yeah, it just doesn't move. Like it just it's like locked in. I don't understand it. I'm a happy.
Chris has got to let me kiss his hair. I've kissed John Alba's hair. Chris has got to let me kiss his hair so I can compare which hair is a better kisser.
Yeah, he only wants to do it because of the hair. You know, compare. That's the only reason.
Hey, speaking of like, wrestling media personalities, wrestling. It came out the other day that Sean Ross Sapp's going to wrestle Shaz McKenzie. That seemed to cause quite the stir on social media. How did you feel about that announcement?
I mean, I feel like because I planned to wrestle, I feel like Sean just took my spotlight personally. Actually, I hope he gets injured, honestly. I hope he breaks his leg. I hope he breaks his leg in 12 different places and can't move from that stupid chair. I say this, and I love you, Sean, but I feel like you kind of took my spotlight a little bit, and I just don't appreciate that. And then, yes, I understand I'm on Fightful, and this is kind of like your thing, but like I just don't care. I don't like it, and I'm praying on your downfall, and I pray to God you get hurt. That's the end of my sentence. We can also mix it up in an octagon anytime you would like. The weight division might be a little different, but I'm prepared to punch you in the mouth.
Sean's got legit like training, like legit, like catch wrestling, jiu-jitsu training. Like
yeah, I got a lot of jiu-jitsu training also. I just don't brag about it because, I'm not a dork. So, I gladly can also grapple with him, and it will be a bad night for him because I'm going to put this heavyweight hustle on him, and it's not going to be good. So whatever he wants to do, we can do it. But I'm honestly just praying December, whatever the match is, that he breaks his leg in 12 different spots. That's all I need.
Shazza might make sure of it, which would be fantastic.
Good.
I don't want Sean to actually get hurt. That would.
Nope, I do. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding.
Who else can we just bury on this show? This is fantastic.
I love burying people, honestly. I think everyone deserves to get buried.
All right, we don't need to fight these people, but Samira, Ella J,
I will fight both of them.
Okay, fair.
I hate them both. I feel like they keep trying to attach themselves to like my spotlight. Like, oh, we're all coming up. No, we're not all coming up. I'm coming up, and you guys are just there. I guess it's me, Malcolm. I'm the one. I'm him. I'm that guy.
I love you took Samira's phone for her vlog. That was amazing.
Because honestly, respectfully, who was gonna watch it unless I was on it? So I put the camera where it belongs. That's on me. She's great, love her, but let's be real. The views ain't it unless I'm on it. So let's just be real. Give me the camera. I'll do the talking, and they'll hand it back to you afterwards. And that's what I did. And she, in whatever ad revenue or whatever money, yes, to say, she makes off of that video, I want 80%. All $2 she makes.
Ella, terrible food opinions. Like, just awful.
I just don't like her. Hate her.
Yeah, fair.
Hate
Honestly, fair.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to Survivor Series with her, but hate her.
I hope, don't let her pick what you guys like eat. You gotta just shut all that down immediately.
I'm gonna eat vegan the entire time I'm there, just to stir the pot a little bit.
Hey, let's be nice to people. Let's see if we can try to do that. Who do you like, Malcolm? Anybody in this content creation game that you actually like?
I like myself.
Fair.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Honestly, I don't really like anyone in the space. It's more like I'm just trying to get what I need out of this space for me. I like the wrestlers I interview. As far as media people, you guys are nice. I don't hope you guys break your leg or anything. I do hope Sean does. I like Van Vliet. I think he's a bit too good looking though, so that's like my only issue with him. But there's nothing he can do about that. He's just God just blessed him. Denise is very nice. I met her for the first time in person. Very nice, very short, but very nice.
Definitely short.
Very short.
Definitely short.
Yeah.
But she was cool. Good people. Yeah, I guess I like some people, but I'm mainly just me and Omos. That's my vibe.
I respect it. What do you think of wrestlers doing podcasts? Like they're trying to creep on our space here, and I'm not like super appreciative of that all the time.
I don't know. Honest opinion, I don't know if I really like it. I think it's a bit. It's a bad opinion. I'll say it anyway. I feel like it's a bit corny. I just feel like you're like it takes the believability for me out of it when I see you just making a podcast as well and just talking about like what you did 30 years ago. I don't know if I'm a giant fan of it, honestly. Like I don't know. It's a bit weird to me.
Fair. Like I think there are some good wrestler podcasts.
Well, there's definitely some good ones. Like Hulk Cabana's great. The Iconics have a show. I watch that like pretty consistently. They're really good. Matt Cardona talks more about like wrestling figures. So I feel like that like differs from his personality, which to me, I can like draw the line and like it's different and cool. But there's some people, and I won't drop names, but personally, I just think it's like you sound corny, respectfully.
Should drop names. Oh, we could really make some click headlines
No,
this. If we drop some names.
No.
Yeah, where do you go from there? We're just going to sit here and bury people.
I can go back to my Sherrod snap. I really hope you break your leg in that match, man. I honestly do. I feel like you really stole that spotlight from me. I know you have more followers, so more people saw what you were doing and less what I was doing. But I know you saw what I was doing, and that's the part that bothers me. That like you took my spotlight like that. That's crazy. Stealing from a small creator is wild of you. That's crazy. So I pray on your downfall. I pray the worst of you. But happy Thanksgiving as well. So.
Do you have like? Are you worried about any type of backlash with that whenever you do step into the ring? Because look, Sean's about to do it. He's gotten a ton of flack for it. I know Simon Miller just wrestled on Impact, and he got like some comments, not quite as much. I think some people realize of like, oh, Sean is a quote unquote reporter, journalist. Simon Miller is like a content creator. There's the balloons. Like you yourself that. Also is like you are an interviewer, kind of content creator. I don't think you fancy yourself as a journalist like Sean kind of does. Like, but are you worried about like any type of backlash from like getting in the ring and doing a match?
I don't think so, because like I think anyone that follows me at this point, and I think the people that eventually will follow me because of whatever match I do have, it'd probably be against Chris Van Vliet when I smack his like great looking face. I think people understand my personality is very just unserious. So I feel like that translates well if I became like a wrestler for a match or two. That like obviously I'm not trying to like become WWE champion. I'm just kind of here just to do something entertaining. I feel like if you look at it like that, it's pretty understandable to see why I would do that. Like it just kind of adds up my personality. So I feel like when Sean Ross Sapp gets like that kind of flag, personally, I don't think as much as I want him to break his leg in 10 different places, 12 different places, 15 different places. As much as I like, want that for him, I also don't think it's really that needed because I do know the guy is actually trained. So like it makes sense why he would wrestle. Simon Miller it's always been super entertaining to me. So like, again, it makes sense why he would wrestle. Dude's also yoked. It just makes sense. He's big. Yeah, I don't understand why people do that. I mean, to me, what's the Eric Bischoff said? Like controversy equals cash or something. So like, if you're talking about me, I don't really care. As long as you just hit the follow and like button, you can say what you want. Personally, I can turn off Instagram. So like, it doesn't bother me that much.
And most of these people like do follow Sean. He does it where he's like, yeah.
So.
Simon Miller looks shockingly like Christopher Daniels. I thought it was Christopher Daniels at first.
And Christopher got like yoked this shirt. Like Simon's
big. Yeah. And he's been training and working at it for like a long time now. Yeah. Like it's been years. So it's cool that like, because he's a guy who like isn't just getting on the show because of his following. Like he clearly put a lot of work in to be as good as he is in there. So yeah, massive respect to him for what he's doing. That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't think it's really that fair when people give them like that kind of flack. So I'm like, well, if you put in the work, I mean, I feel like you deserve the reward of it. I mean, I feel like I don't like the idea of like people label you just as a YouTuber, but like you chose a path that got you to where you need to be quicker. Someone else could have done the same thing, but they didn't. So like, it's not fair to like crap on them because they chose a path that got them success quicker by showcasing their actual talent. When like they decided to maybe go a more traditional route, which is nothing wrong with that, but go to like wrestling school and wrestle for 5, 6, 7 years and then show up on a big show where people are still a little unfamiliar with you compared to a YouTuber that kind of just does it, figures out how to wrestle as well, and then pops in. I mean, like we all got avenues. If you take the wrong one, that's your choice. So let someone else do theirs.
I mean, it could even happen at the highest level of entertainment with someone like Bad Bunny. I mean, like he doesn't have to get involved in wrestling at all, but he loves it. And like, he clearly put the work in to do it. And like his matches are good. Like he doesn't look, he clearly respects it. And like, he fits in great and he brings in a ton of extra eyes. To be completely honest, I had no idea. Like I'd heard the name Bad Bunny. I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't know his music, nothing. Sure. And because he was on the show, then I started realizing he was everywhere. I started like seeing and realizing like, oh my gosh, my stepbrother listens to this guy's music all the time. And like, I've seen his face everywhere. And it's like, but that crossover can be super mutually beneficial. And like, and once again, you can't hate on somebody just because like you can hate on someone. I feel like if they didn't put the work in, like you're saying, but if someone like Logan Paul or something like that, or something like Simon Miller, like, yeah, you have your internet fan base, but you also put the work in. So like, it's a win-win for everybody, really.
As long as like you're putting in the work, I feel like that's the only part that matters. Like whatever avenue you took is what you took. But it's like if you can prove that you actually put forth effort to get what you deserved or to get like the opportunities that you're getting, then I feel like it really shouldn't matter, regardless.
Like one, he's putting in the work too. The money's going to charity. It's not like he's even making a dime off of
for
Sean, this whole thing. Yeah, like it's all going to charity. Malcolm, as we start to wind down here a little bit, I think we asked this last time, but we'll ask it again. Dream interviews for you.
I've accomplished a lot of them recently, so like I'm very happy with that. I just talked to Jeff Hardy over the summer, and that was really dope.
That was a good interview. That was a really good interview.
I appreciate that. He was so cool. He was just sipping on a Monster, and I asked him. He said sure, and then we did it. It was dope. I feel like my dream interviews right now, I would say Omos, obviously. I feel like I have to say that. I would say Cody Rhodes would be a dream one. I'm trying to go outside of WWE, maybe make it a little more realistic as well. Zeta Steele, she's like on fire right now in Independence. I trained in MCW the same time that she was at MCW. Obviously, she's way more talented than I'll ever be. But I definitely want to talk to her soon. Brian Keith, I want to talk to him soon. Yeah, I'll leave it at that right now. You know, the other stuff will just pop in when it happens. KSI, I want KSI.
All right, you got one question to ask Cody Rhodes, because I know Cody's the dream interview for Jensen as well. You got one question to ask Cody Rhodes. What are you asking him?
Oh man. Do you believe in God? Because I believe in Omos.
I respect it. Hey, look, my question would be, so what do you want to talk about? And then just let's see what he wants to talk about.
I'd probably ask him about like that Brandy Rhodes promo, actually. I love Brandy Rhodes.
Yeah.
Which one, the Jade Cargill one?
Yeah, open mic night. Yeah, I love that one. So I probably asked him about that.
Best promos ever. Yes.
Jeremy's question is kind of like the like by asking what do you want to talk about, is basically like the you're granted 3 wishes and you're like, I want 1,000 wishes with my first wish.
Yeah, just open it up.
Though.
Yeah, just open it up. See what he has to say off of that, and then go from there. Jensen, when we land the Cody Rhodes interview, and we're gonna land this, I'm gonna will it into existence. I'm gonna open the first. You're not gonna be able to speak because you're just gonna be like, I don't know. You're just gonna.
Oh, you're so cool.
Yeah,
you're so cool, Cody.
You're not gonna be able to speak, so I'm gonna have to do all the talking anyway. That's gonna be my first question to him. Malcolm, the last question we ask everybody here. You were not here when we started doing this bit, so this is actually. I know you said that like you're kind of in an empty apartment right now, but hopefully you got something lying around. The coolest thing in your room.
Coolest thing in my room. Oh, I actually have it right here. I'm so glad this is actually close by me. So I had this wrestling shirt I got signed by a bunch of wrestlers when I was 13. Well, I got it when I was 13, and it's continued to pile up.
Oh,
so it's signed by like pretty much everyone in the world. We got Booker T somewhere on here, Matt Hardy somewhere on here, Leo Rush is somewhere on here. For some odd reason, Coco Beware decided to sign the back of it. I want to say that's, I don't know, Matt Cardona, I guess. I don't know. We got Santino right there. You know, there's a lot of people, man. I even got a Zack Ryder autograph. So Cardona and Ryder have signed this. Yeah, I'm very proud of this, just because like it just shows how much I love wrestling and how much money I'm willing to spend to travel to go to random events and random signings. I love pro wrestling. I love influencer boxing. And most importantly, I love myself. And that's why I will be successful.
That's your rules.
Yeah,
that's
I
awesome.
very much respect that.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Thank you.
Malcolm, thank you for joining us here tonight. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
For sure, man. I mean, it's right here. Malcolm Muscle. You can follow me everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Follow my OnlyFans. I don't have one, but you know, we'll see. Money's there. Honestly, I'm just a guy that likes to interview wrestlers, and luckily these wrestlers like to be interviewed by me. I just like to ask fun questions. I'm an unserious guy, but I ask serious questions. So if you want to see some really serious interviews, but a lot of smiles going through it, follow me. Malcolm Muscle everywhere. MuscleManMalcolm everywhere. If you want to see me wrestle in 2024, you got to follow me. Malcolm Muscle everywhere. And I'm praying on Sean's downfall.
I appreciate you, Malcolm, as someone who goes through all of these interviews and stuff. I listen to a lot of interviews during my day, and anytime I listen to yours, whether they're, you know, the 3-minute ones or the 30-minute ones, I know I'm getting at least like 2 or 3 articles out of it. Even the 3-minute interviews, like the Nyla one, I know I got like 2 things out of that. The Jeff Hardy one, which is relatively short, there was like 3 clips out of that. Like anything you do, like I can typically get something out of. So you ask good questions, you create good content, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All the links are below that you can follow Malcolm on. We appreciate it. You know, we'll see if we see him in a wrestling ring in the near future. You know, we shall see. We shall see. Malcolm, thank you again, man. We appreciate it, guys. We'll be right back here on the Spotlight. We are back. Thank you to MuscleManMalcolm for joining us in the Creator Spotlight. Look, Jensen's here. Jensen's around to wrap things up.
I am. I stayed. I'm still here. I'm actually about to go wait on my brother to get here. I'm going to go drink some Bloody Marys this afternoon. I don't have to work the rest of the day. Going to kick back and relax. So I'm pretty happy about the rest of the day. What do you got going on the rest of the day today, Jeremy?
Working.
Wrestling stories.
Keeping an eye on the wrestling news. Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
Yeah. That's about it. I got some. My hair's a mess. I was literally like doing house projects during that interview. Like we're moving stuff around to work on our living room. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I do while these interviews run. I do more work.
Nice. For anybody out there that wow, Sean's here. Wow, what time? This is actually perfect.
He's probably wondering why this is a 3-hour podcast.
Yes. What's up, Sean?
3+ hour podcast.
Yeah.
The top indie coverage guy, arguably in the game, Stephen Jensen. I received 0 inquiries to appear on this 3+ hour show, as I had the most talked about indie news of the last month.
That's facts.
That is a fact.
Yeah,
that is a fact.
There's some rumblings about that at GCW as well, Sean.
Now, granted, Lee Murray is not famous for being a UFC fighter. He is famous for robbing banks.
Yeah.
You could say he's one of the most talked about UFC fighters ever. But right now, I'm one of the most talked about indie wrestlers in the world.
Well, this is perfect, Sean, because normally I'm working my shoot job right now, but I have the day off. So we're here a little long. That's why the show's so long. Since you are here, what's going on, man? I mean, how's it feel being the talk of the town? You do have everybody talking about you, whether for good or for bad. Everyone has opinions of you wrestling Shaz McKenzie at Black Label Pro. Shout out to Mikey Blanton for putting that together, the madman. So yeah, Sean, how's the reaction been on your end?
I truly dreaded it.
Yeah.
And Shaza said, I really didn't expect everybody to flip out that much. And I said, I expected it to be way worse. It was actually way less than I expected.
Is it mainly people, like the people that are hating on this? Is it mainly people that like don't realize that you're trained and that you've done this before?
And to be fair, like it's been so long since I've wrestled that when I've gotten back in the ring, I don't feel like I'm trained anymore. That's how long it's been. Like I sincerely, like, out of the brother, I'm working with Shaza thing, like it's been a long, long time. So like footwork and everything like that is just something that I've got to get back. But I did get a couple of brother, I'm working messages over the weekend and a couple of my bads, which was very nice from people that I respect. But yeah, I got approached to do this like in April, or no, it's March. It's March that I got.
It's been
approached.
a while. Yeah. It was supposed to be. I mean, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say.
You can say whatever you want. I don't care. Me and Chaz are going to do a full-on podcast about it that she doesn't even know about after.
Does she know about this media call that she also has to do in the next couple of weeks?
No, not yet. She's sick right now. I'm not going to drop that on her.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're doing a media call on In the Weeds at some point.
We are.
But you guys were going to do the match at like October, November originally, right?
No, I was told December originally. Okay. I was approached in the spring and I was asked, what would it take for you to do another match? Now, Jeremy knows that I've been approached by a few people to do matches and stuff in the past. I would say probably about, outside of the GCW thing, about 10 times I've been reached out for a match and stuff like that. However, I don't know if they were familiar with what I could and couldn't do. And I think that a lot of those were just looking to get the publicity from Fightful and didn't want to do the charitable aspects that I wanted to do. However, with Mikey and Tyler, I knew that that wasn't something I would need to worry about. Like if I don't run a single article on Fightful about it, they're completely fine with it because I don't want to give anybody preferential treatment in that regard. But it was posed to me like, what would it take for you to do a match? I was like, well, it would have to be fun. Like I'm not going to get in there and try to have a Matt Classic my first time. It would have to be somebody I trust. It would have to be quite a ways away so I could at least try to get in shape. And I had to get cleared physically because I hadn't been cleared in forever and I had some spinal issues. And then I think it was the next day, it was Shaza that was like, hey, we work in December. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Was it always like only her? Was she like the only option as far as like who you wrestle?
Yeah. Like I've talked to Ali Albright about doing a match with her, but like what I don't want to do like an Andy Kaufman thing. Like I don't want to do that. And I don't know if I'll ever want to do like a wrestling match again after this. Like if it's a complete trash fire, I don't think I'd want to do something like that. But there have been times like I've talked with Akira of all people about like doing some stuff here and there, not like a death match or anything, but he came and trained with my catch wrestling coach in Kentucky in the past. So that's something that always stood out to me, but I'd love to do something that is more ground based, but also I'm very, very aware that people that don't like me would also see that. And let's be real. There's going to be a lot of hate watching of this show. There's going to be a lot of really weird stuff. There's going to be like clips broken down and all that shit that I'm not looking forward to. But if you took all that out of the equation, I would be very, very excited to be doing this. If like the online component of it was completely removed, I would be very, very excited to be doing this match and to be preparing for it, honestly, because it's helped me. I almost died a year ago from COVID, so I'm very glad that that I can even do this. And that was something that I kind of put out there to myself. I was like, you know what? I probably wouldn't have been around if somebody wasn't here with me a couple of those nights. So I want to wrestle next year at some point, even if it was under a mask or something like that and nobody knew who I was. But yeah, if I'm not looking forward to the reaction, but I'm looking forward to doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually met Ali Albright at GCW this past weekend. I
was going to tell you to go say hi to her and her sister.
Yeah, I met them actually on my way out of center stage. They were right there as I was leaving, so it was great. I got to meet them. Very, very nice, both of them. And also,
were you impressed? Were you impressed that like that Brogan Finley was so disgusted by me joining indie wrestling that he left indie wrestling?
Right. Yeah, the timing is kind of coincidental.
And also, I dressed up as a Samoan man and attacked him.
I saw that. You were humongous in person. I've met you at Jeremy's wedding, but you were much larger this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was yeah, Brogan. I saw that was funny because I saw you guys going back and forth a little bit. Now I've got like a lot of really good friends, like mutual friends of his, like that are indie wrestlers, and I was like, definitely don't want to get in between the two of you guys with this, but Atlanta loves Brogan. He got a great exit from GCW that night, outside of getting attacked by you dressed as a Samoan. So
yes, like I mean, I really like Brogan's work and stuff. I think he's going to do great in WWE, but like I fully expected.
Are you allowed to say what you just said?
What?
Is that like official?
He's going. Yeah,
going. I didn't know like how like official that was, that's where he was going.
I mean, he told me that I knew before he did. So
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't know how like
everybody knows he's going. Yeah, a bunch of WWE wrestlers have told me that he was going. Finley was telling everybody.
Yeah, he was at Action Wrestling like when he announced that he was leaving Action a couple weeks ago and stuff. Like,
yeah, he's going. I mean, honestly, a lot of people that didn't end up. I don't think Maddie got picked up. I don't know if Richard got picked up, but like that was a good tryout class that they had there. But yeah, I mean, I fully expect some people to be like, you know what, you shouldn't be doing this. But I've had some really nice, some people who I don't want to mention that reached out to me because people be like, oh, they're your source, brother. But like a lot of people, especially veterans in wrestling, that gave me some really good advice and were like, this is entertainment. That's what the whole thing is. You're selling tickets, you're moving pay-per-views, you're raising money. That's it.
When it's also like, do people, I mean, it's going to be good exposure for Black Label Pro because so many people are talking about this that might not even know about BLP going into this, which is cool. And also, people need to be familiar with what BLP is because this isn't like out of the ordinary for like them to book something wacky. Like when I found out about that company years ago, it was, I think the first show I ever saw of theirs, they had booked like the Faces of Fear in a tag team match. And I was like,
exactly,
I'm in. You know what I mean? Like PCO really, people forget. I think it was PCO versus Ethan Page, I think happened in BLP before the PCO and Walter match everyone talks about. But like Mikey deserves a lot of credit for like booking PCO when like other people weren't. And that like led to his big uprise and everything where he's at now. So like BLP will book wacky stuff. It isn't, and plus it'll have so many matches on these shows anyways that like what's one?
Yeah, you're
match?
one of 18 matches. It's really not that important.
That was a big topic of conversation. Like if you remember, Alfred dipshit Konowa got some heat because he was like, "Oh, Sean took somebody's spot on a BLP show," and I think it was Ethan Page that messaged me. He was like, "Nobody has ever had a spot taken from them on a BLP show."
That's like the last place anybody's taking spots. They create spots to just.
He's like, if it wasn't an 18-match show, it would simply be a 17-match show. That's it. And he was like, because I remember they let me backstage to do interviews before the pandemic. And I remember Tyler went up to Ethan Page and he goes, "You went over time." And he goes, "I got an idea. How about you do less than 24 matches?" And Tyler just looked at him and he goes, "Good point."
BLP is, I always pop when I do the results. It's like, oh yeah, they run like 2 days as well, or 2 shows in a day and stuff just to fit all of these people. But no, Sean,
I like the environment there too. Like I like the people, all that. I enjoy going there and doing interviews. They don't expect preferential coverage. I've had some companies that have kind of complained, like, "Hey, we want additional coverage." Listen, if I do interviews at your thing or an interview in conjunction with your thing, obviously we're going to talk about your show and all that stuff. Otherwise, you're probably going to get the basic plug and all that stuff. But obviously, like if I'm backstage at Billy Stark's Fright Night and BLP, I'm going to say, "Here we are at Billy Stark's Fright Night," stuff like that. Like they're going to get that type of thing. But yeah, it's one of those things I've wanted to do, and it's going to be a silly bullshit match is what it's going to be. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm going to be doing Josh Barnett style catch wrestling in this match.
I'm looking, I mean, you say no preferential treatment. You don't want to cover it however. Look, I wrote 4 different headlines for the one spot with Denise Salcedo. I was changing that headline like every 5 hours, and I'm going to do the same thing on this.
I saw somebody say, "Why is it he's always wrestling women?" I'm like, listen, I have had probably 40, this would be like 40, 45 matches ever. This is the first one ever where I've been advertised against a woman ever. I've never done a wrestling. Well, there was one where I worked under a mask and a woman had to fill in against me and it was a squash and I got beat, but nobody knew it was me. But other than that, like I've never done a wrestling move to a woman. Like it's not a thing that happens. So I don't want to make that like a gimmick or anything either. And I was able to get some sponsors lined up that are going to donate to NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness. Cause I saw some more dipshits saying, how can you donate hot dogs to NAMI? Well, actually you can. They do cookouts and shit. So please go ahead and donate those as well. But we've got quite a few sponsors lined up and I'm going to make a sizable donation myself. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to do it, and I'll probably just stay off of social media that day.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to stay off of social media that day. Listen, after I show my ass, maybe literally on November 25th.
No, kids are going to be in the crowd. Nobody needs to see that.
No,
Potentially
not
my kids in
day.
the crowd.
Not that day. Okay. I'm talking about the week before.
Oh my gosh. I don't even want to know what you have planned.
The semi-main event that's happening in Chicago, Survivor Series.
Oh, okay. Yeah, your reputation's on the line with that.
Yeah, my legacy is on the line. My the 6 remaining years on my contract on the line at Survivor.
We gotta do a video package. We couldn't put it on YouTube because Eminem's people would go after us, but use the Eminem legacy song of you like logging on to see if Punk like joined WWE at Survivor Series and all the legacy comments and everything. We could put together a great video package off of this if Punk doesn't show up. Just like Punk doesn't, Survivor Series ends and there's you just like fist pumping, like I told you guys.
I'm gonna be flying back from North Carolina. I'm gonna be flying back from North Carolina like as Survivor Series starts, and I'll land at like 10. Obviously, if Punk were to show up, he's rolling in at like 10:57.
Yeah,
so that'll be very interesting. I'll be in a hotel room in Cincinnati watching this unfold.
We can 100% pull off this video if Punk doesn't show up.
I like this. If SRS is wrong about Punk to WWE, Jimmy Van will force him to live at that one house he offered to buy, the House of Horrors, which I wish now we would have sarcastically bought, because it all, just without touching it, it would have been more double compared to what it was then, like with the housing boom. My God. But yeah, I'm planning on doing me and Denise did a podcast after GCW, because it's very important to me in situations like that, because I fully understand where people are like, you're in media, journalist, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, I completely get that. Like, you won't ever hear me say, oh, you don't have the right to either make fun of this or have concerns over that. You absolutely have the reason and right to be concerned over that and all that stuff. And all you can really do is take me at my word, because I get to decide what the hell I do and what flies here at Fightful. But I want to be as transparent about it as possible. Like, obviously, me and Shaza don't hate each other. She's a friend of mine.
Brother, kayfabe. Come on.
I'm raising some money for a charity. I'm hoping she can increase her OnlyFans subscriptions, the like. Listen, I'm just saying, how good was that opening tweet? I said, I'm going to get off the couch cold and show Shaza McKenzie I can do the thing that she does every day better than her. And after I'm done taking pictures of my ass, I'm going to beat her in a wrestling match. Oh,
good stuff.
I've still got it.
The media call is, I don't know when, but don't kayfabe this stuff on the media call. We want full, burial mode. Did you watch?
I'm going to be full kayfabe mode in the media call.
Okay. We could try to set up a match with you and MuscleManMalcolm. He was burying you in our interview.
Burying you.
I'm sure he was.
He said he hopes you break your leg in this match in like 13 different places.
I'm sure. I bet. Listen, he'd come out with Boozer 666 ringside with him.
He was burying everybody. Malcolm was. You were so kind putting him over after Jensen sent the tweet that we did the interview. Like, Malcolm's doing great things. I was like, not after you listen to this interview, you won't think that. He's shooting on everybody.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he was fun to have on there.
Brawl Out parody press conference. We can maybe do something like that. We'll figure something out.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, there were so many skits and segments that I had planned for.
You talked about those in the weeds.
I'm gonna go into more detail. I mean, I still got some planned. It's just a matter of if they happen. I had a great one with Violence is Forever planned, and they were down for it. Where I would go train with them, and the clock would show like 10 a.m. and they would be like, well, "Let's see what you got." And I'd do this like really terrible strikes, and they'd be like, "We've got some work to do," and we would do a full montage of where I could actually develop my technique, and I'd be fighting kids. Yes. And the clock would just switch to like 10:01, so they had spent 1 minute training me.
Oh man, that would have been awesome. I love those guys.
I mean, you mentioned it earlier. We're scheduled to potentially have them soon, both of
together.
them.
Yeah,
so we will talk about this training vignette that was lined up.
Me and Dom had been. We were hopeful about it, but I don't know if he's going to be anywhere near here. But yeah,
we'll talk about it. Well, maybe we can have him cut a promo or something to hype this thing up.
Yeah.
All right, Sean. Way too long of a show. This is what Jensen happened. This is what happens when Jensen doesn't have a job to go to. He just
I know.
Let's talk wrestling all day.
It's also a good show to go like super long because we're gonna restart early next week, like early. So
my training session got canceled today, and I am relieved. I am so goddamn sore.
Can we just like all take not everybody, but me and you, Sean, just take the rest of the day off. Let's go play some Jesus golf or something.
I would love to play Jesus golf. It's close for Jesus golf.
What's Jesus golf?
Oh
yeah, I have to. Sean, I don't know if you saw this. I assume they're coming close to Cincinnati as well. Hootie and the Blowfish coming soon. Collective Soul, Hootie and the Blowfish.
Wow.
Yeah, really
to where?
They're coming near us. I don't like to give out.
Okay,
it was the same place that
they're coming to Riverbend June 7th next.
I figured
year.
They're coming here August 15th. So
Jensen, Jesus golf is something that My IRL best friend had been telling me I needed to do for years in Lexington. It's at the Lexington Ice Center, which actually has hosted Impact Wrestling events.
Okay.
Did a bunch of interviews there. And next, like in conjunction with it, there is a Bible-themed mini golf course. 56 holes.
It has like...
There's Old Testament, New Testament, and miracles.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That sounds like a lot of fun.
And let me tell you, as is appropriate, the Old Testament has some demented shit in it.
Man, that sounds fun. Especially being Jewish and all. I think I'd have a blast at that mini golf course.
He golfed through an ark.
Yeah.
The Red Sea. All of it. All of it. There are like little toads and stuff where people got turned into toads. I don't know if that's like a Harry Potter Bible reference or what that is, but oh my God.
The plagues, right? Like people turning into frogs and stuff. That's great.
It's phenomenal. It's really, really fun.
56 holes. Do you only play that course? I can't remember the last time I played mini golf, like to begin with.
Oh my God, I'm a big mini golf guy. As
oh, really?
Knows.
Oh, go ahead. Do the spiel where you bury the wife for being the worst mini golf player of all time. We've heard this promo before. You got to get new material. Like the Judgment Day. You run Raw. We get it.
Listen. Yeah. She's bad. She's bad, dude.
Got the hole in one. Only person to get the hole in one. Defend my
see. Oh, here you go. So, are you ready to try out Mount Sinai or maybe Jonah and the Whale? If you think you are, you need to come play the best miniature golf course in Kentucky. We've been featured by the Billy Graham Foundation. Look at that. A pro wrestling connection already.
Is it legit that Billy Graham Foundation? There's like a million Billy Graham.
Travel Channel's top 10 most unique miniature golf courses in CBS Sunday Morning Edition. Our miniature golf consists of 3 courses, 18 holes at each, and 54 holes total. I'm so excited I'm getting ahead of myself reading. It says each course is beautifully landscaped with trees and flowers. That is not true. They are barely landscaped. And streams run through all 3 courses. That is true unless it's been dry for the last 3 weeks and it's a drought. Each hole is represented by a biblical verse that explains where the idea from each hole came from. We have a brochure along with a map of the course to tell you about the hole and the verse. I'm going to take a screenshot of one of these holes. Boy, I never thought I'd have to say that out loud. Just to show.
Got to see these holes.
Let's see here. And the answer to your question is yes, Jeremy.
Okay. All right. I was a little worried.
Look at that.
That looks fun.
It is a blast.
Oh, I'm so excited for this.
That's a real picture or something? That looks like Minecraft or something.
It does.
Yep,
like
it's real. Yeah. I've golfed through that no less than a dozen times in my life.
Wow. What are your thoughts on this picture, Sean?
You know what? Okay. Okay. I like his hat.
We went down a rabbit hole of learning that Billy Corgan dated Jessica Simpson for like a month.
Oh, I had no idea why you put Jessica Simpson on the screen.
That's why we went down this rabbit hole yesterday. It's an amazing photo. All right, let's wrap this show up.
Bye.
Plug anything? Bye, Sean. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you, Sean. Yeah, I think it's the plug. I mean, how much time you got, Jeremy? My brother's been like waiting for me at like this restaurant probably for like a half hour to get these Bloody Marys. Follow me on X, Fight Talk _.
Take X and follow Stephen Jensen.
There you go. And then
you will look like this on X following Stephen Jensen.
There you go. Subscribe to FightfulSelect.com and listen to the Weekender podcast and check out all the news and stuff over there. And
we have articles coming from the Gringo Loco and those interviews. Should have articles.
Thank you. Yeah. So my GCW interviews from this past weekend, check out the stuff from that on the Fightful channels and platforms. And then also reminder to everybody, starting next week, The show is 8:30 in the morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time instead of 9:30 going forward because of my new work schedule. So we appreciate everyone. It was fun doing like a super long episode today because like maybe some new people came across the show that haven't seen us before at kind of a different time for a super long show with Sean popping in and stuff. So if you see this and you like waking up early and listening to people talk about wrestling and interview wrestlers and promoters and other fans and YouTubers and stuff, like 8:30 a.m. Eastern time on this channel, youtube.com/Fightful. And if there's any other changes to the schedule, we'll always let you guys know. And we always appreciate everybody too who watches on demand, like who watches after the fact that isn't in the chat and stuff. Whenever you watch, very much appreciate it. I've said it 1,000 times because of my shoot job and all the stuff going on with me professionally. Like one thing I always keep in mind is this show. I really love doing this show. I love being a part of Fightful. I love getting to go to shows like GCW. I love being a part of this team. And I love that y'all are being flexible about our shows, hours changing, so we can keep doing this for y'all. So yes, that's everything I've got today. Thank you all.
I've got nothing to plug. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Bye, everyone.